Hello? Hello? I can't hear anyone.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay,
Did you hear us?
okay, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Okay.
That's Evan. Uh, Councilman Evans, can you turn on your camera?
Hold on. What I just did.
That's not him. That's it. I don't see him. You see?
I'm not sure.
You see his picture? I don't think this happens. But can you see him on? We still can't see you. I don't think that's Tony. Is it? It sounded like Tony. It sounded like Tony. Yeah. Is Councilwoman Shivers on?
She's up.
Yes,
Can you, is your camera on?
yes, sir, Cameron.
Cause you still not see her. Oh, she's on. Well, you can always see yourself. Do you see down at the bottom where it's like a red?
I think she's talking to Tony.
Or a camera with a red line through it? You see him? No, I still don't see him. Did you do it again? Hello? I think you muted yourself. You put me on hold. Now I can't hear her.
She's muted. She says she's muted.
I can't unmute her. She has to unmute herself.
Okay, because you put me on. Okay. Do you see Councilwoman Shivers? Is she?
She is on here now.
She unmuted herself?
Yeah.
Give them a few minutes to figure it out. Is that him? Did you hear somebody say hello? Okay, call a meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Councilman Sachsen-Heinrich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland? Here. Councilman Washington?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Here.
Councilwoman Shivers?
Here.
Councilman Nelson?
Present.
Councilwoman Faye?
Here.
Councilman Evans?
Do you see him?
Yes. He's still muted.
You're muted, Tony.
Here.
Yeah.
All right, can I get a motion to, modify the agenda to include new business on C for water main repair? Oh, do we have agendas for that?
Sorry, we're having an issue with the copy of our vote. They should be ready.
Packets were still printing as you came in, so.
Well, so we have 3 things under new business, or 2 things under new business, so this will be the 3rd. And it's, water main repair on, streets where we're doing, C, resurfacing. So I just need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. First item of business, discussion of the Natural Bridge Median Improvement Plan. So we're gonna have a presentation, I don't know if we still have copies on the table. There are copies on the table of the presentation if anyone wants to look at them, and we're gonna put it up so you can follow along. So what we're gonna talk about is just the history of Gray Streets. It's Sam Johnson, our city administrator, is gonna give Sam Johnson's gonna give a history of Gray Streets. He's gonna talk about cost, maintenance over the years, also the different options that the council and the community has. So Sam's gonna lead the presentation. This is a little bit out of order because usually we do citizen comments at the beginning. So after his presentation, if you have any comments or questions or anything, you can come to the podium and just give your name and address to Kiana, and then we can proceed from there. So Sam's gonna start us off.
Well, good evening, council, and to a lot of people here. And if you don't know me, I'm Sam Johnson. I'm the city administrator. And tonight, like Yolanda said, we're talking about the Natural Bridge medians. And we've been working for a proposed change to the medians to kind of fix some of the maintenance problems. And the project has gathered a lot of community interest. So that's why we're here tonight, beyond the fact that it's just our normal workshop. So this presentation, I'd kind of just like to inform why I think change is needed, what the proposed solution is that we're talking about for the medians, and kind of how we got here in the process thus far, and where we're at. So for those that are not familiar, Great Streets it refers to a project that improved the Natural Bridge corridor from Lucas and Hunt to just before Hanley Road. And it started back in the early teens. 2015 is when I believe construction started, and it was a joint effort between East West Gateway, MoDOT, the city of Normandy, as well as a federal grant to kind of re-envision how the corridor would look to spur economic development, have more friendly streetscapes for pedestrians and and cyclists, and to just have a better corridor through the city of Normandy. And so we're about 10 years into that at this point in 2025, because 2015 is when they started construction. Over particularly the last 5 years, the condition of the corridor has suffered, and it doesn't look how it's supposed to, and it's deteriorated a lot. And over the last 5 years, we've struggled a lot, and what we've learned is it's very expensive to maintain, are difficult to maintain with our limited budget, I guess is one way to put it. We see a lot of vehicle accidents and collisions, and I'm actually, I believe Chief Sanders has some data for us after I'm done. But she said something like over the past 7 years, there's been 301 accidents on the Natural Bridge corridor. And then because of that and some deferred maintenance and some funding issues that we're about to get into, a lot of the corridor right now is significantly damaged, and there's deferred maintenance over the past few years. And then we've had issues with having enough funding in our economic development fund to keep the maintenance up to par, and it's really pretty much taking up all the money that we have in the fund up until this point. So again, going back into the history, I kind of mentioned some of this, but on the screen you'll see some of the original concepts. I'm not exactly sure when this was. It was either 2013 or 2014. East West Gateway had a consultant, and they did a big planning and community input process. And the recommendations that came were for a roundabout at Florissant and Natural Bridge, and a streetscape with a raised median, with plantings, bike lanes, wide sidewalks, all of which were implemented between 2015 and 2016. Again, this was mostly funded through the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act at the time. MoDOT matched and paid for everything, but the key part of the agreement was MoDOT will put in everything, they'll change the lanes, they'll even help pay for the installation of some of the beautification improvements, but Normandy is responsible for maintaining those improvements. We have a maintenance agreement with MoDOT. Normandy is responsible for all non-roadway items. So if there's a pothole on Natural Bridge, which we have a few after this this cold winter that we just went through, and MoDOT's responsible for that. If Natural Bridge needs to be resurfaced, MoDOT will do that. But if it's anything from the sidewalk to the landscaping to beautification, or the cast stone medians that we have, they're not going to pay for that. That is on the city of Normandy. And UMSL did split some of the responsibility with us. So on the west side of the Metrolink is UMSL maintained. On the east side of the Metrolink to Lucas and Hunt is Normandy maintained. So if it's nearby the UMSL campus, they do it. They hire landscapers and that actually turns into Belnor and Belrive Acres on that side. And so MoDOT is responsible for that. We're responsible on this side. And the plan at the time, as I think everyone understood it, and what we have been doing, is to pay for those maintenance items, the beautification elements, with our half-cent economic development sales tax fund. So this fund was actually established, or this tax rather, was established well before the Great Streets project was being implemented. It was established in 2006 by Normandy voters, and it levies a half-cent sales tax on all retail sales in the city of Normandy. The restrictions that come with this tax are outlined in state statute, and there are a limited number of things that you can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be on this list that I've included, which is mirrored in the state statute, but it does need to be related to. So, for instance, you can use it for acquisition of land, infrastructure for a business park, water and wastewater facility, extensions for new streets, public facilities directly related to economic development, marketing, grants and loans for job training programs, and then legal, accounting, and administrative fees and salaries relating to economic development. And there's a few other, strings and rules that go into that I don't think are super relevant tonight, but it is a pretty narrow tax for what you can use it for. Normandy, up until this point, we're saying the great streets and the improvements on Natural Bridge are assist with economic development, so it's kind of an ongoing project to bolster economic development, and that's why we are using this restricted sales tax for that purpose. So with our economic development sales tax, it may be a little hard to read on the chart, especially if you're in the audience, but on the left side you have starting in fiscal year 2015, our fund balance was pretty high, $435,000. Again, it was established in 2006. It wasn't used a whole lot for the first eight years there. And so the fund balance started pretty high. You see in 2016, MoDOT finished the project and turned over maintenance to the city of Normandy. And then you'll see that there was a slow and somewhat manageable decline. And then in fiscal year 2019, the city really really spent a lot of money in the economic development sales tax, taking the fund balance from $392,000 to $125,000. And then that went even down further by fiscal year 20 into fiscal year 20 to $65,000. You also have COVID coming in at that time. And if you go back, you can even, Google Street View proves it. That is about the time that the Natural Bridge corridor, the landscaping is no longer done. You start seeing cast stone footings in the medians that were hit not being repaired. And for reference, I came on the city at the very tail end of 2021. It was actually fiscal year 2022. And one of the first things that Mayor Beckman at the time had me look into was getting those cast stone, particularly at Florissant and Natural Bridge, repaired. But at the time we had, $70,000 in the economic development fund, give or take at what point in the year it was, and it wasn't budgeted, and it would take a significant chunk of what was left in the fund, taking it almost down to zero to do it, which was the cause for the delay. And you'll see that it went up and down. I mean, there's other repairs that we have done, including fixing some of the street lights, fixing the fountain, which was broken at one point, and fixing some of those other maintenance items. So, and we'll get into all of that in some more detail here to come. But yeah, 2019 was the big year. You'll see that we spent $73,000 with a landscaping contractor, $11,000 with a tree service. All the Eastburn Redbuds on Natural Bridge are our responsibility. $50,000 with a concrete company. And again, this is the Economic Development Fund, so without without seeing the invoices from 7 years ago, it's possible that could have been outside of the corridor, but it would have had been tied to economic development, so it's more than likely tied to the corridor. These farm, more landscaping costs. Waterworks, they are the contractor who helps us maintain our fountain. and another contractor, and I'm almost sure that one's not connected to the Great Streets, but it did come out of the Economic Development Fund. So again, this was, and that's not all the cost that year, that's just the main ones that really took that big dip in our fund balance and kind of left us in a position where we were behind the eight ball, so to speak. Now, how are we gonna, we're talking about proposed improvements, how are we talking about paying that? Well, in fiscal year 2024, so about this time last year, actually, the city council voted to dissolve the TIF fund. And without going into a great deal about how TIF funds work, that's a tax increment financing fund. It's an economic development tool. It had been established actually back in 2002. And the original idea was to find a developer to do some major development along Natural Bridge at a few different sites. However, going back to 2008 is about the time when there was a developer lined up. It fell through. The city made a few other attempts to make use of those TIF funds throughout the years. But eventually, the TIF fund just kept collecting balance from the different sales tax that were already being levied with no developer or project assigned to it. So not only because we didn't have a developer and it wasn't, really doing anything, but because TIFs have to only have a lifespan of about 25 years before they have to be dissolved by state statute, we went ahead and dissolved the TIF. Now what that meant was the money that had been collecting in that TIF fund went back to the sales taxes and the property taxes that would be receiving those funds over the past 20 years. So as a result, it almost kind of worked like a forced savings account for the Economic Development Fund. When we dissolved the TIF, Economic Development Fund got about $480,000. So, well, the past few years, we haven't really had a lot of fun. We've been our funds. We've really been struggling. Right now, we do have a fund balance that we can actually take action on the Natural Bridge corridor. Because we're kind of where we're at, and there's been several collisions, and it's a great time and opportunity for change, saying, okay, we have the funds, do we put it back in and make it how it was again? Do we put in something new? And I'm about to get into the proposed solution for something new. I will say, and kind of the process that went into that, but there can be it doesn't have to be that solution. We can take our time. It might mean that the corridor looks like this for another summer, right? We figure it out. And there's some other things I'll get into, but there's about to get into an alternative proposed, but that doesn't have to be the answer. So, but before that, just again, kind of give everyone an idea of the maintenance and the costs that we're talking about. The one that I probably think gets the most attention, as it should, and is also one of the most expensive, is the cast stone footing. So if you'll see these, particularly around the fountain, there's also a few at some pedestrian islands. There are these cast stone footings. They look like that, but these were hit several times. I think the one on the left was hit twice, and the one on the right, I think, was hit maybe 6 times. Yeah. And so, and we actually went ahead and took it down to grade. So in these pictures we're taking this week, we from a quote that we got in 2021, like I said, one of my first projects was to look into getting these repaired. It would have been about $21,000 to fix what was broken at the time. More has broken since then, and we also have inflation. And the quote that I had didn't account for the 13+% inflation that we've seen since that time. So I think it's reasonable to say that if we were to go through this process, we would need to budget about $35,000 to $45,000 just to get those medians back in how they were looking. It seems like a lot of money, but when you understand that cast stone, especially with the curves that are cut into them, it requires a lot of molds that take up a lot of space in the manufacturer's warehouse. And again, going back to when I first got to the city, it's been a few years, but I called around even to some local companies and they said, yeah, we're not interested in that project. It's just too difficult. If we wanted something cast stone, I'd recommend moving to a more angular design. And I think we would get more competitive bids because the only person who will do it is a design company out of Chicago. And we have to ship it down here, and then we have to find someone to actually put it in. And again, I kind of peeked ahead at this slide, but these aren't, completely damaged, but they're certainly chipped, worn. Utility companies don't care; they just spray paint right on them where the water line is. Scuffed up, and so these don't warrant immediate replacement, but they should be replaced eventually. And these are just some of the more egregious. I mean, it's hard to find one that is in mint condition out there just because it's been 10 years and it's Highway 115. It's a highway. It's not, and people go fast on it, even though the speed limit is relatively low. Kind of more minor, there's lots of different curbs that have been broken from different collisions. We've repaired some of the major ones actually last year, but there's plenty that are still in rough condition, and these are the maintenance items that we took on with the maintenance agreement that before we wouldn't be responsible for. Street lights, our light poles like to get hit. Part of the Great Streets was these special designed street lights that you see there. MoDOT was kind enough to give us 4 at the start of the project, but we put those up and they kept getting hit, and we're at the point where we need to buy more street lights in order to replace them. Right now they have these metal boxes on them to make sure that they're safe, but we would need to order a batch of these street lights, and we have about 4 missing right now. And also the company that makes them, because they are custom made, they actually, we have a bill that apparently wasn't settled, and last time I reached out to them, they were asking about that. So, and I'm not exactly sure what the circumstances were with that, but that's another hurdle that we need to get through to get more streetlights ordered. The fountain, it worked last year. We do need to replace a pump here within the next couple months because it was making a lot of noise by the end of the year last year. And just continual maintenance of cleaning, sealing, but the pump and the basic maintenance is safe to say that we will spend $10,000 on the fountain this year easily. That number ebbs and flows depending on the year and what the fountain needs. We have tree grates, and we actually have ordered the tree grates, and we'll be putting them in within the next month or so. And those were custom-made tree grates. You see the fleur-de-lis. It's beautiful. I love it, but also quite expensive. Need to be custom-made from California and shipped in. But we did get a pallet of those grates, and we will be replacing those, and hopefully eventually replacing the Eastern redbuds. Some of which are, not doing so well. Some of them are dead, and some of them have already been removed or hit by a car. The irrigation to maintain the landscaping is all shot. You'll see these tubes sticking out on Natural Bridge, and that's the tube to the irrigation. It connects down underneath. It was supposed to be buried, but over time, they've kind of come to the surface and broken. And based off of, we did redo the plantings around the fountain 2 years ago and planted natives, and we got the irrigation repaired there for that project. And based off of what that took, I think for the entire landscape portion that we're responsible for, and the extent of the damage, that's where I came up with the cost estimate of 15 to 25,000 for that. And then the landscaping along Natural Bridge. Now there's a wide, variance in what we could do with the landscaping, but this is just talking about the medians. Normandy Public Works has been mowing the tree lawns, which is quite a bit of draw on our staff time and personnel and Public Works and our laborers. Need to make sure that we budget to make sure we have enough personnel to do that. But then even in the medians, we are a few Public Works director ago. I never met the gentleman, but Rodney Jarrett, I know everyone knows him. He put in a lot of work at the beginning of the project to make it look good, but no one since then has been able to keep up with that task in-house, and that's when they went out to landscape, and that's when the bills started coming in. But there's different landscape options. Obviously, the type of flower and what you put in there is going to matter. You repair the irrigation system, it's going to matter a lot. But I would say for the first year, expect to spend $40,000 to $50,000. I mean, we spent $73,000 in 2019. But we need all new mulch. We need a lot more plantings, and the plantings get hit a lot and get driven over. Is another thing to consider. So what's the proposed solution that's generated all the interest? Well, we want to basically put in something that will lower the maintenance cost while maintaining something that's still visually appealing and will spur economic development. What we do have has already been approved by MoDOT, and whatever we do has to be approved by MoDOT. By the way, I didn't mention that when I talked about the maintenance agreement earlier. But basically what we're talking about is, in the median specifically, taking out the dirt and landscaped and putting in decorative stamped concrete. So here's one conceptual image of what that would look like, just at an overview at the circle. And then here's a few other pictures. The only thing that would be different from the conceptuals that are on the screen right now is that there would not be bollards, those black poles that you see there. MoDOT said that they would not allow those. So, but everything else is the same, so just kind of imagine it without that. All the footprints of the medians would stay in place, so there would still be the pedestrian islands. There would still be the medians in the center lane, but they just wouldn't be landscaped. It would greatly reduce our maintenance for landscaping. We won't have to worry about the irrigation, and we won't have to worry about the cast stone footings. I also think we'd find that the concrete curbs would be a little bit more durable with something behind them. And actually, if you look at the top right hand, you've already seen that picture earlier in the presentation. That's the original design concept from the East-West Gateway planning process. And in there you see it's stamped concrete with the fountain's not there, but that was kind of the original design. Now there was also other ones with landscaping in them, but from the beginning, it's been an option, and you see these in a lot of cities. I think, I'll get to it in a second. But again, in going back to this, we are partners with UMSL, and we've talked with UMSL about this, and they want to keep doing what they have over there. So basically from the Metro Link to Lucas and Hunt would be what would be changed. That would start with this median that's right outside Natural Bridge, and it would go all the way down to that median that is pretty much just dirt at this point at Lucas and Hunt. And you can see a cross section there of what it would look like according to the plans. And I found this image on the internet, I think at the AARP, talking about pedestrian refuge islands, and this is exactly what we're talking about. You see a lot of cities, saw a lot of cities in California have them. Ferguson uses a bunch of stamped concrete. It's not in the medians, but on the side of the road, if you go up Florissant Road. So yeah, we had a sealed bid process according to our purchasing policy. We had 2 bidders respond. The low bid was $187,000, which was slightly higher than we hoped, but it was still within what we could manage with the budget. We had that bid opening back in January. The bid bond said the bid is good for 60 days. So we have until March 10th. The council did vote in January to accept that bid. So, and I'll get into just kind of the decision-making process and how we got here. So we've been talking about this over the course of 2 years in public meetings. Originally, Mayor Beckman was the one who had kind of pushed for the idea of stamped concrete in the median to reduce maintenance. And we've met with UMSL a number of times. We showed them the conceptuals that you just saw. We've met with MoDOT multiple times. They support it. And MoDOT also approved the plans in December. So and while UMSL, still wants to do their thing, they totally support us and making a change to reduce our maintenance cost. And then as far as the council, we've talked about this at 11 plus public meetings. So in February of 2023, there was a discussion about alternatives for the medians. At that point, it wasn't stamped concrete, but we were talking about, hey, we need to make a change and move away from the cast stone in particular. In November, later that year, we brought the renderings. So these renderings are, well over a year old at this point. Presented those to the city council, got some positive feedback. Didn't have the TIF fund hadn't dissolved yet, so we couldn't act on it. But once the TIF was dissolved in 2024, we started to move forward, and the council voted to accept the proposal from Weiss Design Group to actually draw up the specifications to put in the concrete, and we paid them, $20,000 to do that. And you can see, who voted yes, who voted no, who wasn't there. And then from that point, and from that July meeting all the way to October, we had 9 budget meetings, including regular workshop and special meetings, which this project was specifically identified as a project in our capital improvement plan. And it was specifically spoken about. And there's been some council members who have been opposed from it from the beginning, particularly Councilwoman Valle. But ultimately the majority thought it should be in there, and then the budget passed in October, which basically told us as staff to go out and put it to bid, and then in January is when the council voted to accept the bid. And right now we haven't signed a contract, so it's not too late to back out, but there are some consequences that I'll talk about here in a minute. But $180,000 is a lot of money, and especially for a city of our budget. So we want to be mindful about that, and how is this going to affect us in the long run? The blue line, and again, it's not an either or situation. There are other possibilities that we can pursue. But let's just say we're going to reestablish the natural bridge how it was in 2016. Going through some of the cost estimates that I talked about earlier, that would be the blue line. You see there's a slight dip at the beginning, but then the maintenance costs start to drive the fund balance down, as we saw, very similar to the graph that we were looking at earlier. The orange line is the proposed solution that we just talked about. The initial dip would be bigger, but the cut in maintenance costs, particularly the landscaping costs, would actually not only save money over the time, but would actually begin to grow the fund balance. And what that would allow us to do is to not tie up our entire economic development fund in one economic development project. We could actually start looking at, land acquisition, marketing to attract developers, and and planning, working with the Economic Development Sales Tax Board and Planning and Zoning Commission to come up with an economic development plan to attract more developers and hopefully have some success. So again, where we're at now is we accepted the bid in January. Councilman Nelson made a motion at February 11th meeting to delay the project. That motion was then tabled for consideration at tonight's meeting. Once I finish my presentation, Chief will talk. Will be time for citizens' comments. Then you guys can talk, and then you'll vote on that original motion that was made in February. If you vote no on that motion, then we'll move forward with the proposed project and get the contract signed. If you vote yes on the motion to delay the project, then we'll seek additional public input. We'll have a few more meetings like these and planning sessions. We'll research alternative solutions. Like I said, there's no legal obligation to the contractor. I do think if we back out of the bid at this point, we will certainly lose reputation with the contractor, because from their perspective, we accepted the bid and told them, yeah, we'll take your bid. And now when it comes time to sign a contract, we're backing out. Now, it's not the end of the world, it's just something to consider as part of that. That's all I have. I'm sure if, the council or residents have questions, when it comes to that time, I'd be happy to try and answer them. But thank you all.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I know at the meeting that we had the other day, I believe that was planning and zoning, there was some discussion about open seat dining on the Natural Bridge corridor, which naturally sparked my interest. The public safety mission of the citizens of the city of Normandy and the services that we provide contract service for, as well as commuters and visitors to our community, is my primary objective and my primary concern every day. I'm apolitical, but I am definitely about safety. So I'm kind of going to err on the side of what makes sense. And one of the things that I recommended or offered to do was come back to this council and provide you guys with data-driven insights about the level of safety on the Natural Bridge corridor since the Great Streets program inception. I want to start by saying that the data that we were able to extrapolate with regards to traffic-related incidences on the Natural Bridge corridor could only be tracked back to 2018. In 2015, right around the time that Sam mentioned the Great Streets project broke ground, the Normandy Police Department transitioned our policing dispatching services from St. Louis County Police Department to St. Anne Police Department, at which time we stayed with them for dispatching services until 2018, and then we returned. So the data-driven insights that I hoped to present for a decade were kind of shortened by that brief exodus to St. Anne and then our return to St. Louis County. The data insights that we were able to prepare and present to you guys, each one of you guys got a packet, spans the Natural Bridge corridor where our footprint begins just past the University of Missouri St. Louis right here. So if you're going eastbound on Natural Bridge, the corridor starts just shy of the 7790, which is East Drive. So we're just short of East Drive. You'll see the now entering Normandy sign just outside of the city limits of Belnor, and it runs down to Lucas and Hunt. And then of course westbound, we have a little bit more ground on the westbound side because we have the early learning center, which spans a little bit further. So we have a little bit more of our geographical footprint on the westbound side of Natural Bridge. So we pulled the traffic data from just our corridor, from basically the sign to Lucas and Hunt. And the data for 7 years revealed that on the Natural Bridge corridor, there have been 301 traffic-related crashes just in this little tiny stretch. The total amount of economic loss to community due to crashes was $5,444,600. There were 43 injuries related to those 301 crashes, and 264 involved property damage only. I think we can look outside, look at the corridor, and we can see the evidence of those 264 crashes that resulted in property damage to the detriment of the city. Oftentimes, a lot of the experiences that we have as law enforcement officers is we have people traveling through the corridor, which I think a lot of times people forget is a state highway. It's Natural Bridge to us, and the people who live off of it look at it and think, I live here, it's a street, it's a state highway. So with regards to like school buses, typically school buses, when they're dropping passengers off on a 2-lane road, you'd have to stop. You don't have to stop on a highway, you don't have to stop on a divided highway. So school buses actually have to drop children off on both sides of Natural Bridge because it is a state highway. It's Missouri Route 115. There were 194 traffic tickets that were written during that same time span, just in this little tiny area. Of the 194 traffic summonses that were written, 154 of those summonses were for speed. 9 of them were for failure to drive in a single lane. 9 of them were for stoplight violations. 7 of them were for careless and imprudent driving. Careless and imprudent driving is any time you commit 2 moving violations at one time. We forego writing you 2 separate violations, and we will just write you careless and imprudent. It results in higher points being assessed against your license, and it really demonstrates the dangerousness of the driver to the courts. Following vehicles too closely 4 times, failure to yield to traffic, which is people just turning out in front of other people 4, improper lane use 3, wrong side, so we've had several wrong way drivers, but 2 people have been cited for it, and then impeding the flow of traffic 2 times. The average speed that people travel over the speed limit on Natural Bridge Road, 62 of those citations were written for speeds between 11 to 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, with 15 of those citations being for people traveling 20 to 25 miles over the speed limit. We have had a couple violators doing 40 plus miles over the speed limit, 35 miles over the speed limit. So speeding violations, of the total violations, we found that the range of people traveling on Natural Bridge tend to go between 11 and 25 miles over the posted speed limit. The speed limit on Natural Bridge, for anyone who's unsure, is 30 miles per hour, which means that if you're traveling up to 25 miles over the posted speed limit, they're doing 55 miles an hour at times on Natural Bridge Road, which again is a state highway, but it's also the same speed as Interstate 70. Our speed limit on the Interstate 70 corridor actually drops when you come across the Interbelt at 170 from 60 miles an hour to 55 miles an hour. And the speed limit on Interstate 70, which no one ever seems to know when they come through here, which is why they get tickets. The speed limit through Normandy is 55 miles an hour beginning. As soon as you come across at 170, once you're at Hanley, it drops to 55, and it's actually 55 miles an hour, even in the express lanes. The express lanes don't mean go faster, till all the way downtown St. Louis. And the reason being is because this is the most dangerous stretch of interstate, which is Interstate 70, in the entire state of Missouri. There's more fatal crashes on this stretch of interstate than any place else in the state, which is why our speed limits were reduced by MoDOT several years ago. They asked for our police department to go out there and run the sample data. I was the very first traffic car that went out there. I used to average about 500 tickets a month on the interstate. There's a lot of people speeding up there. And in the first year, we were able to get the fatal crashes down from 169 to 72 traffic crashes. In the second year, we were down to 19. And then, of course, all the reform came after 2014. People stated that we were targeting. The MoDOT backed away from it and took their hands off of it and said, we don't know why the police departments are giving people a lot of tickets, because they're speeding. And so we came off the highway. We had to do away with the accident reduction corridor, which was a specified zone between our corridor and downtown St. Louis, where people were fined double for speeding in that area. And we had curtailed traffic-related injuries from over 169 to 19 fatalities, not injuries, fatalities to 19. And then in the third year, we were at 0, and they made us shut it down. So needless to say, everybody's driven on the Natural Bridge corridor. We know that when Interstate 70 gets congested, you can't get anywhere on Natural Bridge. We can barely get out of this. I mean, I think it's a really unideal place for us to have a police station. It's hard for us to get in or out of here. So when traffic gets bad, our residential communities on this side of town experience it all the way from Interstate 70 all the way back south. It's everybody from Ward 3, Ward 4, Councilman Nelson's subject to it, Councilman Valle subject to it. Everybody that lives on this side of town, you guys know when the highway's backed up, it's a mess down here in Natural Bridge. So I know that they said this was the great streets, but there hasn't been very much statistically that's been great about it. The last thing I'd say is we worked really hard with this city council and several people here. You guys worked diligently. You guys heard our request because we have several schools that exist on the Natural Bridge corridor. So we have schools on a state highway, including the Early Learning Center. Belnor is not our school, but we do have a memorandum of understanding with them where we do their Red Ribbon Week. We go into their schools. We're active in that community. So I take that school on as one of my own, Belnor Elementary. Then we've got the Early Learning Center across the street. We've got Lucas Crossing Middle School. A little bit further down, just outside of Normandy and Bell Ridge city limits, they have the CASA Alternative School. We have school buses traveling. We have St. Anne's School right here. We have so many children that traverse this corridor every day. And so when we asked you guys to implement double fines for the school zones for people that are caught speeding in this corridor, you guys heard us. We've actually asked on a couple occasions to consider to reducing the speed even further on Natural Bridge, because if they're already doing 55, maybe if we push the speed limit down to 15, we can get 40. I'm optimistic. I want to give people opportunities, but I also want to increase the safety for the children and the commuters in this community. We have businesses, and we're trying to bring the corridor back where it's thriving, and we want to make sure the speeds are consistent with the businesses that are up here, because a lot of the businesses don't have a lot of ample parking. So, like, for example, Honey's Wine Bar, we have pedestrians that are crossing right there at that area all the time. Anytime we have an event, we have people that are crossing Natural Bridge, and we want to make sure that it's safe for the commuters. So you guys worked on getting the school zone language embodied in ordinance, and we're just waiting for the signs to come in. As soon as the signs come in, it's game time. The last thing I wanted to articulate was in the packet that I provided for you guys. There's a little graph, and it shows you the percentage of summonses, citations, and violations on the Natural Bridge corridor. And then in the very back, you guys actually have a copy of all the tickets that were written, the actual physical tickets that were written over that time and what time frame. We were able to get some great data-driven insights, and it looks like Tuesdays between 3 and 4 o'clock is a great time for people to wreck. So I think that my officers are going to be sitting on Natural Bridge during some of these peak times to at least lend the appearance that there is enforcement and that we will be pulling people over, and we're going to try to reduce the crashes. Unfortunately, we just don't see that many of the people that are crashing are insured motorists. So unfortunately, the city is left biting the bullet on all those instances out of 301 crashes in this little tiny footprint where the uninsured motorists are flipping their cars and crashing into the medians. And I was actually the person that made the request to Sam and to Public Works to remove the capstones down there at Florissant Road after we had a St. Louis City pursuit that came through here, and they crashed, and the car was ramped up on the middle, and it cracked it and knocked it open. That was a person that had stolen a motor vehicle, and the vehicle they stole was uninsured. This data that I've given you guys does not account for any data that St. Louis County has taken, where they have come in and taken a report because they were involved in a pursuit. Even better, this data does not include any data from St. Anne Police, who chases up the Natural Bridge corridor frequently. They had a motorcyclist hit our fountain maybe about 6 months ago. He was ejected and broke his hip. He was laying on the roundabout, and our Public Works Director had the privilege of going out there and spraying off all the blood the next morning. So St. Anne took that report. They started it. They brought it here. They're writing it. See, if they bring it to our community, they create the mess where we have no knowledge. You guys need to write these reports. So reports that were drafted by outside agencies, including the Missouri State Highway Patrol, St. Anne Police Department, St. Louis County Police Department, to name a few, or any other municipal agency that brings their drama into our town. This does not count all of this drama. This is just Normandy drama. So I hope that opens this kind of eye-opening into like just this little tiny footprint, how much damage is occurring. Yes, ma'am.
How would concrete caps on the median?
Wait, we're gonna do ours after the citizen comments.
Oh, okay.
Sure. I can answer it when you're done. I asked for the curves to be reduced though, just because we were seeing with the higher capstones down at the roundabout, the majority of the crashes that were happening, they don't help people when they're higher, because when the cars hit them at those speeds, they ramp and they go airborne, and then they overturn and they fly into different things. The lower the curb, the lesser the damage. Think about it like a ramp. If you build a little ramp, you get a little height. If you build a big ramp.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna do citizen comments next. If you want to come to the podium, please give your name and address to, oh, okay. If you want to come up, if you have a question, a comment, a concern or anything, feel free to come.
Okay. Okay, I'm Cheryl Milton Roberts, and my address is 2905 Bell Reeve Drive. I live in the Belnor area. Before that, I lived for 26 years in Bell Reeve Acres. And I was really excited to hear you give your presentation and to get information, and I always am excited to hear your presentation. I guess I'm here for a reason that hopefully will bring us together, okay? We work very hard to get great streets here. And it was a very communal thing. You came to Bell Reeve Acres and everybody else and said, this is what we want to do, and here's why, and here's the benefit, okay? And so it was very startling to me to find out that we were trying to dismantle some or all of it, because we never got any information whether it was the whole thing or some of it. And the fact that you wanted our approval and our buy-in to actually levy taxes and to do the work, But when it comes to undoing the work, you didn't want to hear from anybody, okay? So that's a lesson in how we have to work together as a community. I've called senators, I've called committee people, I've called UMSL. Nobody can tell me anything about anything, okay? And I pay taxes. I help to build that. I understand that there's a lot of damage, but some of that damage is because of deferred maintenance. Some of that damage is because Belnor no longer polices their section of the road down at the end the way they used to, okay, because of, what has happened, okay? So there's lots of variables. What I also know, because I spoke with the people at MoDOT, is that we haven't explored all the variables, and that there's different kinds of solutions, the one you mentioned, and others. What I also know is that the costs that have been reflected are not the cost of just that street, but the cost of many different things that go into that budget line item. So I think that's a little deceptive to say that. It's a little deceptive to say we've had lots of public comment because we haven't heard anything about it. And so I was very upset as someone who's lived in this area. I used to live in Norwood Court, I lived in Greendale, Belnor, Bellerive Acres. Normandy is my home. And I'm a little upset that we're doing something to change what my front door looks like. What you're telling me is the front door, because we're all Normandy, okay? And oh, by the way, I'm on the school board as well. And nobody's talked to anybody. So I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I'm not saying your plan is good or bad. I'm saying that we are a community and we need to talk to one another. What I'm also saying is that if you look at what goes on at Washington University, if you look at what goes on at St. Louis University, okay? There's a whole lot of stuff that's happening up and down those roads and lights and all kinds of stuff, and we don't have any of that. But I also don't think we've asked for any of it. Because we've got students walking across those roads every single day. We don't have any of the bright blue lights like they have at SLU. Why not? Why hasn't UMSL stepped up and said something? Why have they done anything? Maybe because we haven't talked to them. Okay? We need to start asking for our fair share. We don't just take stuff and knock it down for $187,000, okay, because we didn't ask for what we needed to have. And to our police chief here, this lady's golden, okay? When people bring their mess, you let them take care of their mess. That's exactly right. Because you know what? They drive that mess down this road. I hear the high speeds all the time. That's not us, that's them, okay? And they need to be told, take it someplace else. Okay? Because that's how a lot of this stuff is getting broken, because the cowboys are running up and down the street, coming from the city, going out to the county on Natural Bridge. Because I've watched them, I've almost been hit by them. I've got a child in one of the schools here, and I'm actually, as I said, on the school board. The other thing is, you talked about the landscaping, okay? Nobody in 2025 is trying to figure out how to water stuff in the median. They're trying to figure out how to put things there that are native plants, that don't require a lot of water, that are made for that particular area. And we have a whole botanical garden and a whole Thies Farms, and 3 that I know of, master gardeners in the area that can help us with that, as well as we have a garden club in Pasadena Hills, we have a garden club in Bellerive Acres, and we have a garden club in Belnor, and nobody has asked us a thing. So once again, I'm not mad that you want to do something different. I'm mad because you're telling us when you need money or you want to do something that we're all a community. But when it comes to making decisions that affect all of us, you don't want to talk to us. That is why this area can't grow. Okay? That is why. Not because of anything else. Because we got good people here, good kids here, good stuff. But we've got to work together and quit doing stuff because it's expedient. And quit making reports that don't really tell the whole story. Okay? All this money wasn't spent on that street out there. And the things that the curbs and so forth, I agree, you can make them lower. But you know what? I also call MoDOT. And there are hybrid solutions. There are things that you can do that don't cost as much as the cast concrete. Because that's the Cadillac. We bought the Cadillac. And it was beautiful, but it's not working for us. So what is the Ford or the Toyota or we don't know because we didn't look at that. We just said, let's knock it down. What we've been trying to do for years is to get people to understand that the housing stock over here, the people over here, the safety over here is just like what they've got in University City or Ladue or wherever else. They've undervalued the houses over here year after year after year after year. We were on the front page of the newspaper back in 2024, I believe it was, where they admitted that they had done that. And so we have done things to make our front door look great, and now we want it to look like we're gonna get some stamped concrete that's gonna fade after a day and it's gonna end up with trash all over it. That does not make sense. Okay? If it's not working, what's a solution that keeps the aesthetic the way you want it to be, that pulls in the police chief and says, hey, what do we need to do to make sure your stuff is the way it needs to be, that brings in the USDA, brings in the schools, brings in UMSL, so everybody's got to say, and we're doing the things that's going to make our community great. We've got to stop doing everything because it's expedient. And if it's a cost that we can't afford, again, nobody's asked us anything. Okay, it's all of our front door, but nobody's talking. Okay, I'm not mad at anybody up here. I'm mad because I've been watching this for over 40 years. If we're Normandy, we're all Normandy, by gosh, and that means I should have got the memo too. If you had 21 meetings, I didn't get any notes. Not one. And so that's all I got to say. And I will say also, you've got business owners that weren't talked to. You've got the church that wasn't talked to. You've got St. Anne. You've got USDA. You've got the library. You've got Belnor. You've got Bellerive Acres. You've got Normandy proper. The residents that live here. Okay? None of those folks were talked to. And I will say, what I've learned with the transportation department right now is that they're doing an excellent job. Okay, the Missouri Transportation Department, of bringing communities together and talking about stuff. They don't do a thing without having community forums where they talk to people. That's how we got great streets. So this is not in keeping with what we do. And so I'm just telling you, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that we're sitting here trying to have a vote about something that you've not included the community in, but you came to me for the money, and you came to me for the approval. That's not okay. That's not how we build community here. And right now, with everything that's going on in the world, the one thing we got to do is build community. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Gene Gordon, and I'm the owner of Hudson Style 7224 Natural Bridge. And I just want to thank the residents and the council for my tenure in Normandy. I was open for 20 years without one incident. It was because of a lot of things that was afforded me, including the police services and all. While I was open, I decided last July to shut it down. But I do want to say, my background is I worked for Boeing for 22 years. I was in asset management, community relations, and then I went to the RCGA and I worked at economic development, and I was director for CDA for the city of St. Louis. And when I say I echo the young lady's comments, it's about building partnerships. And we know, and just turn on the TV, you see all the budget cuts everywhere. And it's hard to be a standalone unit, and I'm not implying that you are, but it's gonna take a total effort of everybody to get the types of partnerships you need to make these things work. And at the bottom line is always the dollar. Where do I find the money to do the types of things we're trying to do in Normandy? I mean, great streets was a great thing. It actually helped my business. I mean, the aesthetics was just, everything was very, it was beautiful. And it still is. And I'm proud of I'm proud of it, and I'm not sure what's going to happen with the building. It's for sale at this time. But again, I feel proud to have had a business in Normandy for 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Ron Smith. I'm in Belnor also. And Gene, I thank you because I didn't want to have to speak after Cheryl. So I've been coming out here. I went to Lutheran North. I used to sell real estate in Belnor as my farm area. And no offense, Chief, but I would like to know the contrast of how many accidents we had before Great Streets. I would be willing to bet that it was more because the area was open and you could cross from one lane to another and people could drive faster, if you can believe that. Well, I'm sure you can. I work in public safety also. But what I want to say is we spent some, what, $20 million to build great streets. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater and spend $180,000 to undo all that. It's hard enough for us to get funds in our area. You know, North County or near North County has its own connotations. So people don't want to put funds here. So let's, instead of just taking it out, let's take some time and meticulously look at what we want to do and how we can do it. Economy scale work in two ways. One, if we have all the residents, I've talked to the mayor of Bellevue-Bakers, talked to the mayor of Belle-Noire, talked to the mayor of Greendale. None of them know what's going on. Until I said something, and Cheryl let me know about the meeting, and I came, and when I talked to them, none of them knew. Not likewise with the alderpersons, and in Belle-Noire we have aldermen. I don't know what the ladies are going to do about that. But none of the people know what's going on. So the economies of scale could be bringing all the citizens together, because anyone that shops in Normandy puts that half cent toward the tax, and they're paying for it. I don't know if there was funds gathered from other cities when they started this, but let's get those cities together and talk about it. And again, the economies of scale as far as fixing it. If we come up with a less expensive way of putting the concrete there and get a local company to do it, and instead of every time we need something, buying something then, maybe buying in bulk, and it might cost for storage, but I guarantee you it'll probably be cheaper. And with that, I'm going to leave it there, but I implore you, instead of voting tonight to take it out, let's look at the process and see if we can find a way of coming together of all the cities in the metro, in this area, and coming up with a plan that'll work.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kimberly Moore from Ward 2. A little bit about me. I'm a very, I'm gonna take to say a long-term resident. I went to Bermuda Elementary School down here on Bermuda Road. I went to Ferguson Florissant Middle School. I went to McClure High School. I graduated from UMSL. I'm not new here. I live in this community, so I know what it looked like. And when I tell you it's heartbreaking to see how it looks now, and to see that we have people that are running our city that are not only new, but have no vested interest in what the city looks like now or 5 years from now, we don't want that. Sanders, you and I have talked a lot. I respect you immensely. Some of the information you gave here, it felt really disingenuous, as that man just kind of said. I have a very close friend on the council in Creve Coeur. I've helped them do grants to get concrete work done. I don't know if any of you all have been off 270 in Olive. That's also a highway. There are accidents everywhere. People get tipsy and drunk on Tuesday, on Sunday, before they go to church. We're not just having accidents over here, so let's not try to present it to us like this is something unique that's happening because of these meetings that we have. That's not the truth.
It's a small group.
Sorry.
Yeah, I just bigged you up. Chill out for a second. Let's be honest here. For those who weren't here, Sam, some of the information you gave was accurate, but some of it, again, was very disingenuous and leaning so that you all get what you want. When Great Streets was put in, beautiful, it was hard on us because it really messed up traffic over here for quite some time. We did not see a deterioration of this area until 2019. Do y'all know what happened in 2019? I'm not talking about COVID. Rodney passed and Mayor Green stepped down. And since then, this city has been in hell. And I was a big proponent of Mark, but I'm gonna be honest, people were not fair with Mark when he came in here, and he had to juggle a whole lot. So the reason why it looks as raggedy as it does is because, again, it's not just deferred maintenance, it's no maintenance. Let's be honest, all of you all in here been here for a while, you know, we used to do our own trash. They pick up Ward 2 one day, pick up 1, 3, and 4, then get recycling on 5. And they will still cut grass and take care of the median. Our Public Works isn't doing any of that. He just made it sound like them cutting grass twice a month is a burden during the summertime. I remember coming to a meeting with you, Yolanda, and we had a golf tournament coming, and you were like, look, we can get some grant money to make the waterway up here look better. We can do the same thing over here. I know a lot of you all stay in your bubble and you think that your ward is better than other people's wards, but it's not. Because when people don't put a business over here, they're not saying, oh, Ward 1, Ward 3. They're looking at the whole entire ward. And if you all cut us off from UMSL, who is going to continue this, you're going to put us on an escalating scale to be the Delmar divide. Sam, I know you don't know what that is. Maybe you do recently. There's a video on YouTube. Please watch it. It's important. And why can't we have nice things? And if we're talking about this economic development fund, I come to all these meetings, whether I'm here in person or on Zoom. Didn't you just take money out of the, you all agreed to take money out of the economic development fund to give him a raise so he's working on economic development? I don't see anything coming in here. So let's just be honest about these funds. And honestly, $70,000, I have stood here many times and told you all, I have a green thumb. My mother was very, very close to the man that owns Garden Heights. I have talked to him at length. When I told him the budgets, he said somebody is stealing. And I stood here and told y'all last month, if y'all spent $70,000 on trees over here and plants, somebody was stealing. So instead of trying to use that number that's not accurate and fair, did you go out and get bids and say, hey, well, if we do what Yolanda proposed for the waterway with the naturals, what is that gonna look like? I'm gonna tell you right now, if you all replace those red buds, and if you don't give them watering bags for the first year, they're gonna die. It's not they're getting hit, they're thirsty. I would not give you anything to drink for 3 or 4 days. And our summers have been hellacious as of late. Maybe we should lower the speed limit and, pardon my language, if y'all need to get on people's ass, get on their ass. Because we don't want that to look horrible up there. And a lot of us have even volunteered. I know it's difficult right now because it's a one-way and traffic and safety, but many of us who don't have, pardon me, old knees, a lot of us have said, we'll get up here and help. All they have to do is just mow, do a little watering the first year, and it'll take care of itself. Somebody said in the meeting, oh, they're gonna have to weed once a week. I know your house looks crazy. You're not weeding once a week when you have plants and you take care of them. All I've been hearing is continuous excuses. And the way the funds are right now, I don't have to get into it. Y'all know what's going on right now. We can't depend on grant money. And again, we have people making decisions for our city that don't live here, that don't have a vested interest in it, and they don't care what this looks like a few years from now. So you're gonna take all their hard work that was done years ago just to pave over it? We don't want that. This is not the time to spend money frivolously. And again, as I mentioned, I have a friend on Creve Courts Council. They raise theirs up. There are things that you can put there to let, pardon me, not just drunk people, but people like me who shouldn't be driving at night without glasses, and I do it on a regular basis. I've almost ran up on a curb on Olive because I didn't have my glasses on, but you know what caught me? They drill these things in so you can see them from high and low. Did you look at options? Also, I thought we had to get 3 bids, so you got 2 bids and we just rocking with 2 bids? I thought we legally had to get 3 bids. I didn't know y'all supposed to be voting on stuff in the council. Not council, here. I thought this is where you all came to discuss and we voted. And again, you all didn't include people. I know I've spoken to people in Pasadena Hills that couldn't make it tonight. They don't want this. So when you say that you've been talking about this for a while, there have been people in the community, a lot of us, people don't not come to these meetings because they don't care. I brought my older neighbor here. It's not that she just don't care. She's not driving tonight. We had people like Tony Evans. I don't know what time Tony gets off, but I know that he works during the day and traffic is rough, so he can't get here certain times. Everybody has reasons, and it's not because they don't care about their community. Ward 3 is not superior to Ward 1, 2, or 4. And I'm going to tell you something. I live in Ward 2, right off of Bermuda Road, and I'm in here right now and passing out flyers and speaking my voice every meeting because I care about all of Normandy, not just 3 and not just 2. I don't even live off Natural Bridge, but I don't want it looking raggedy, and I don't like the way it looks now. I can't give more of a damn about Natural Bridge than people that live off of it. Do the right thing, and this is not the time to spend money just because. I've given information to get grant money. Y'all don't respond to emails. Probably won't be able to get that money now. Don't let somebody who don't live here run here. I would never come to your house and tell you, oh, you can't have cottage cheese. If I came to your house and you told me, Kim, take your shoes off before you walk through. I'm not going to walk through your house with my shoes on and you told me, no, it's your house. Don't let somebody come in our house
and tell us what they want to have done. Listen to the people. And I've said this countless times for years at this podium and in emails. Y'all don't communicate with people. And it's not just this council, it's people that were here beforehand. The communication has been horrible. I will, again, I'm a big Sanders up. We have had issues in the past with people going crazy, popping firecrackers and other stuff. Just this year alone, whether it was her or one of these awesome police officers that we have, they got their ass on foot and hit every house to say, hey, we're gonna be patrolling. Hey, you know you all can't do this. So I don't know why the council can't get together and do that 3 times a year. Those flyers that just went out, a lot of people that didn't have good knees and good backs walking around passing those out, which is why we have this turnout, because we don't want this. So stop thinking about yourself and do what we want and communicate. And if you communicate effectively with your community partners, I don't even care about the community partners. If you don't communicate with the citizens, that's not fair. Do what's right. Please do what's right.
Anyone else?
I said, oh, I ain't say no. I said, oh, B-E-R. I'm old too.
That just means you're the point, that's all.
Yeah. She can still check me, I'm guessing, yes, ma'am.
My name's Tim Dolly. I live on St. Anne's Lane right up here. Communication, it's interesting. I spent many years on the Planning and Zoning Committee, and I was up here, every month for how many years, whatever. I had no idea this was even in the works. And I don't know how it passed over my head. My wife's on the Parks Department. I had no idea that they wanted to redo this whole corridor here. Yes, it looks terrible. Yes, it hasn't been maintained. I understand there's a lot of issues with money. To the people from Belnor, Pasadena Hills, does Belnor pay anything to UMSL to maintain all the great streets in their neighborhood? No, that's exactly right. But yet you're going to come in and tell us that we're not communicating with Belnor. I'd love to see Belnor step up and throw in some money, or Pasadena Hills, or Bellevue Bakers. Normandy is Normandy. Normandy's not Normandy. It's Bellevue Bakers, Belnor, Pasadena Hills, Pasadena Park, and Normandy and Glen Echo Park. And all of those communities should be brought together to talk about what's going on with great streets. That was a long, hard-fought project. Many of those meetings took place in the restaurant that I used to have down the street. I listened to the Great Streets people. Yes, we did agree to do the maintenance, and we have a responsibility. I know money's tight, but city's got to find a way to step up. I mean, if that's going to be the reason, if Great Streets is going to be the reason to bring new business into the community, then we need to maintain it so that it looks nice. And anyway, that's all I have to say. Talk to Mayor Belnor, tell him to come up here and spend some money.
You have to ask them though. You gotta ask. You gotta ask them. Closed mouths don't get fed.
The part of it might be.
Carrie Gannon, 7620 Augusta, across the street here. I really liked what everybody had to say, and I just want to make a suggestion that we kind of hold off making any big decisions. Like, don't cancel the contract, keep it on hold. I think we need to do a little more investigation with the natives, see if there are things that we can do in the medians, on the streets. I'd like to see some of the businesses, including me, step up and maintain more of what's in front of our buildings. If there's planters, let's plant them. The city put all those fences all up and down Natural Bridge. It used to be that the people used to cut the grass from their property all the way down to Natural Bridge. Well, when the city put up those wooden fences, now the people can't get to the grass on Natural Bridge, so our Public Works has to cut that grass. It's a lot of work. But, when people didn't do it, it really looked terrible. So Rodney, just started cutting the grass. I don't know if there's something that we can do on those hills, maybe plant, more natives, pampas grass. I don't know, but I think we need a planting plan, a native plan. I would love to see Belnor and Pasadena and their garden clubs come in. I'd love to see everybody work together on this because they're all right. And I think that if we work together, we can come up with a viable plan, a not expensive plan, and something that will make our corridor look wonderful and that we can all be proud that we work together on. So I say, let's kind of put a hold on this and do more research and more discussion.
Can I say one more thing?
The proposal is to lower, take out the capstones, make it lower, so that people don't go shooting in the air. If you drive from Lucas and Hunt down to Union, where they put in another roundabout at Goodfellow, have you seen what that looks like?
Terrible.
It's all about maintenance. I mean, they're doing all these traffic calming things in the city, and they're beat to hell. I mean, they're not even a year old, and they're already beat up. It looks terrible. I mean, all the stuff they've done down Natural Bridge, all those low curves, they're still all beat up. So, you're still gonna have a maintenance problem, and we're gonna lose the aesthetic of having what great streets put in to beautify us, and we're just gonna pave it over. And you know what? It's still gonna have to be maintained. It's still gonna get beat up. Now, I did have one thought. Does the area in front of UMSL have as many streetlights missing? I mean, do they have as many accidents? Do people drive like crazy through Belmar where they knock down the streetlights and stuff? Okay, so UMSL's replacing those as it happens, I guess, because I don't think Belmar is. Anyway, just something more to think about. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Patricia Chandler, and we merged with Normandy from Glen Echo Park. Hello. So we've been here a long time. I've been here over 30 years. And just the area, the way it looks, we want to be proud of our area. Trash is everywhere. I don't know the solution. As a retired nurse now, you look at your area and you want your area to be beautified. Trash cans everywhere. Why don't people put the damn trash cans up? They're not decorations. So we have these ordinances for people. Trash day, your trash can is out. When that time is over with, you put them away. Why are people looking at trash and dirt and filth and just untidiness as beauty? We can't live like that. That's just too untidy for me. And if I clean my area and the neighbor clean their area, together we're gonna get that area and that whole block gonna look nice. So I know you all have a job to do. I'm not here to say not do the job, but I wouldn't want to see anything dismantled. I am happy to be on a committee or volunteer to clean up, tidy up, or what have you. But the beauty of our area, when you go out to West County, those areas look so pretty. You come to our area, now our area, when you look at, what's this, UMSL, they're tidy. As you creep through Normandy, ooh, you creep on across Natural Bridge, even worse. So I don't know what's happening. Is it us, the people, that don't give value to where we live? How do we change that? I don't know how you change that either, but maybe there's a committee that we need to have for people to just learn value. What does beauty look like? Trash cans? No, that's not pretty. But we're part of Normandy, and I will proudly be glad to be on a committee or what have you to help beautify us. Thank you. Thank you. I think I know the name. Somebody please correct me. I don't know if it's in Ward 3 or if it's considered Pasadena, Wayside.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's.
So I travel a lot. I'm typically only in town 4 days. I had an issue about 2 summers ago and I couldn't find anybody to water my plants. Shout out to Tony's grandson, he's been holding me down. But so I left flyers at Wayside and I had 3 people call me and said, oh, well, I can come water your trees and your plants for you. I did not know those people. And I said, well, okay, well, how much you want? $50 a week? And you know, they told me, oh, no, you're our neighbor. We'll come take care of it. And they just text me and say, Miss Kim, turn your alarm off. I'm pulling up right now. Or I say, you sure I can't bring you anything? Well, what town are you in? I'm in San Francisco. Bring me some San Francisco beers. They didn't want anything from me. Right up here at Wayside. And I've donated to them for the last 2 summers with time and giving them combustible things. So I'm just saying, if they will do that for me as an individual person, they'll help us. People are around. Most people are genuinely good-hearted. They want to help, but you have to talk to them. So Wayside is right up here at the low.
Wayside is part of Normandy Schools Collaborative.
I didn't even know that. See?
Where is it at? It's right at, what is that? Bermuda and Florida Road. We're getting ready to do some more.
I just had one quick question. The golf course, is Normandy, is Normandy
No,
Golf?
that's not Normandy.
That's not Normandy,
It's called Normandy with an IE.
but it's not a part of
At all.
Normandy? Okay, okay.
It's
That
not us. Yeah, that's
Glen Echo, are they a partner?
Glen Echo is one.
Glen Echo Country
The country club.
Okay, so my question, and I was just really asking the question, when we
Sorry,
talk,
we can't hear.
Sorry.
and I just saw the development, but you say Glen Echo is a part of, so I was just wondering, are they a partner, like a real partner? You know, like a real partner?
Like a monetary partner, is that what
Yeah.
your question is? Okay.
Glen Echo,
Country club.
Country Club.
No, it's country.
No, my question is, we were talking about creating partnerships and getting people, getting resources, you know, to contribute to what's going on, and what the community's trying to do. And that's why I was asking, are they like partners, not in just name, but in resources? Okay, thank you.
Can I speak to
Wait,
that?
I'm gonna let everybody.
I have something to say. My name is Mary Washington. I live 7839 Skyview Drive. Tony is my neighbor, and Kim is my neighbor. I want to know, I've heard that we don't have enough help with public work, Normandy Public Service, I work. But they keep talking about Rodney. So Rodney died, I know that. But nobody can take Rodney's place? Nobody can do what Rodney did? No. Well, we need to hire some more people that might have his heart, you know. Are they really, you know? Well, I was talking to them, so I'm looking at them.
You start talking to them, and they start talking, and it's a conversation between them.
Well, you all not saying anything.
We're gonna give.
So, I mean, it makes no difference who I talk to if you're not saying anything.
Well,
But I'm just saying,
Let me explain.
honey.
We're gonna give you your time, because we don't wanna interrupt you.
I want the work done, you know, I want the work done. I've been here for 50-some years and I've never seen this place. I mean, never
You wanna
seen it.
come, you can come back to the podium.
I've never seen a place
You can
look
come
like
back to the
this.
podium. You're not done.
I've been in Normandy for over 50 years. And when I first moved where I live now, where I first moved there, we had a swimming pool. It was a swimming pool right there on the corner where the church is now. That was the swimming pool, a YMCA. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Everything was beautiful. You know, now, you know, the church is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's just a mess. And like the lady said, trash cans everywhere. I mean, we've got renters, and, but they still gotta adhere to rules and regulations. Trash cans are out 3 and 4 days a week. When we was coming here, was the trash can out? Was full of trash. People don't run again for Monday. Today is Thursday. You know, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done besides the concrete on those roads. Because around there where we live, we got potholes and stuff. We need some people to work on the roads around there too. There's a lot of stuff that can be done, but we need to be in the loop. We need to know before we come here for a vote. And we really do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been really excited listening to people talk. And the reason I've been real excited is because there is a really bad story that everybody has about our area. And that story has been perpetuated. I've lived in this area for almost 50 years. You said that, so I guess I'm an old lady too. But everybody says that nobody here wants to, you know, if you invite them, they won't come. They don't want to do anything. All these folks came, and they didn't even get invited. Okay? This is a lesson for every one of the communities around here. Quit letting everybody else tell you what people want to do. Quit letting everybody else talk for you. Quit letting everybody else make decisions for you. It's not about any outside organization. It's about you all as the alder people and the mayor, and Belle Noor's alder person and mayor, Belle Reeves alder persons and mayors. Let's have a picnic and talk about it. Quit letting other folks that ain't got nothing to do here and then get in their cars and drive back to wherever they go. Okay? Let them go. Okay? Because we're the ones that got to stay here. And we're not talking. We got other people making decisions for us. I went to a city council meeting, okay, not city council, county council meeting, to learn about an apartment complex that they're trying to build on the backside of Belle Reeve Acres. And they never talked to anybody up and down this corridor. And the lady said, oh my gosh, I talked to somebody who don't live here. Okay, that's not okay. Okay, that's not okay. We've got to talk to each other. And I'm going to just say to you, I don't know you, and I'm pleased to meet you. If you call me, I'm going to come. And if you call me, I'm going to call some other folks. So if you call me, I'm going to come. And I think you heard that from everybody in here. So if there's something you need to let us know. And I appreciate you being so patient and kind and listening to people talk, because everybody doesn't do that. So that's a gift. Thank you very much for doing that. Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name's Darlene Foots, and I live right on Natural Bridge. Probably the only house that faces Natural Bridge for, I don't know. I guess my biggest concern would be, does this include those ramps that they put like by St. Mary's Lane and off of, is it Oakmont?
Yes.
The
Yes.
ramps, they have the little ramps that you,
Right.
does that include somewhere where that, because also in front of my house, I don't know, there's this big ugly green box, which killed one of my, I had some shrubs that I had planted there because people were cutting through my yard like it was just a thoroughfare, so I just put some bushes there. But there's also the water, the irrigation that's in front of my house too, where it's sticking up in front of those bushes. And it's also, and the kids, I see the kids running across it. Somebody's gonna get hurt, you know, because I see the little kids, you know, coming up on top of the ramp above it, the little retaining wall. I see them going through there, and so I'm just afraid somebody's gonna hurt. So I don't even know if that part of that, you know, when the decision is made, and hopefully. And I want to tell everybody I appreciate everything everyone said. Man, it's encouraged me to get on a committee also. So I definitely want to become involved. I'm like, wow, I don't know which way to go, but everybody had very valid points, you know, that I was like, okay, I thought I was thinking one way, but listening to everybody, it's like, well, maybe not, okay? But thank you for listening. Thank you guys for everything you said, and you all have inspired me to definitely become more involved in the community. So thank you very much.
If I can just answer the question, it doesn't include anything with the walkway up to St. Mary or Oakmont.
Yeah, I was just concerned
just
because of
the
the water, the irrigations that's popping up out of the ground, and the little kids are always running up and down there, and, you know, somebody's gonna get hurt.
I'm gonna talk into this thing like there's a mic.
I know, I didn't say that, I didn't say that.
I wasn't prepared to.
Oh, what's your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. Bill Harrison, 7538 Bermuda Court. I've lived in Normandy since 1982. I've seen administrations come and go. I don't know if anything we say or do here tonight is going to really make a difference. I don't have any answers. I want to say this much though, Normandy was a great city, and I'd like to see it saved. I'll be 73 in July. Yes. And I'd like to think I could spend the rest of my life here. If they don't move me into a home somewhere. And that expression about you can put lipstick on a pig comes to mind. I don't care about beautifying it so much. I want to see the city saved. I understand there's just so much you can do. Urban sprawl doesn't necessarily refer to just the city. Normandy is still surviving so far, thank God. I give UMSL a certain amount of credit for that though, you know. Yeah, I mean as far as its location, you know, there are people that got stuff invested in UMSL. But Delwood, Ferguson, all the surrounding cities that were used to really be nice cities, we've seen them fall. I don't want to see that happen here. You know, so I don't know what's going to happen. I'm making an impassioned plea for you guys to try to save Normandy, if possible. Also, I want to say that if you run for mayor, you got my vote. Yeah, you do. And I was a sheriff's deputy for 30 years for St. Louis County. I'm impressed with you, too. I didn't know you were the chief. Huh? Okay, yeah, you guys talk good. Okay, so that's all I want to say. Just whatever we're going to do, I just hope it somehow saves our city. Okay?
What's your last name, Bill?
Harrison. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Clinton Jones. I live at 7703 Nokomis Drive. I've been living in Normandy for, I think, about 23 years. And when I moved here, because Normandy was a beautiful place to move to. And when I first moved here, we had so much police protection. Now it looked like we have none. Police used to come in and out of my street about every 45 minutes. Now we don't even see officers ride through anymore. I know we acquired, what's that? Down there, where the Snook was, Cool Valley. I know we acquired that, which was a little more room. I want to know what happened to all that. And then we have lost so many businesses in the last 10 years. What happened to all the businesses? Why did they run out of Normandy? Normandy used to be a place where people were scared to come through because they was going to get a ticket. What happened to that? We don't have no more police officers? Look like we got a lot of cars out there. Now, I'm very familiar with Brother Nelson here because he and I communicate quite a bit. And like all you all said was beautiful, and I love it, especially this young lady, Adela. And the thing is, they said something like Rodney and Mel Green, all them was in politics. Rodney would ride up and down the streets every day, checked everything, and have a communication with everybody and let them know what's going on. And we also would have barbecue every year down on in the cul-de-sac. Wallace, Mr. Wallace was another guy. He was down there. And myself, and I had another friend who's kind of ill, Ray Lewis. We would do the barbecue at home. That disappeared. Everything has disappeared here. The businesses, the police officers, well, we see a lot of cars, but they have no problem raising the taxes. That's it.
Mayor, there is someone on Zoom that would like to speak. Ms. Patty, would you like to speak?
Hi, my name's Pat Thomas, and you did call on me. I'm sorry. Correct? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Pat Thomas, 3703 Oakmont, and I agree with what people have said, and I like the fact that there are alternatives. And I didn't know you guys hadn't checked out alternatives. Please look at alternatives because I love coming down Normandy. I've lived in Normandy for about 30 years, and I love coming down Natural Bridge when it had the flowers were taken care of and the trees were taken care of, and when they put in the fountain was absolutely gorgeous. And I don't understand what happened over the years, how all of a sudden we just stopped taking care. That's what happened. We just stopped taking care of things. And so I implore you, please, we pay, I know for myself, I pay hefty taxes over here. They're not as bad as you cities, but they're kind of up there. And so I don't have any children in school, and yet and still I want to know, where's my money going? Where's my money going? Because I've seen a steady decline in the area, but my taxes have steadily gone up. And so I need, and especially with USDA coming in, and also we need to do better than what we've been doing. I don't like it at all. And that's not the way it looked 30 years ago when I originally moved here. And I do everything in my power to make sure I maintain my property, I maintain my home so that I'm not an eyesore. And I want the same thing from the city. I want us to maintain so that we're not an eyesore. We're not an extension of the city. We're part of the county. And everybody knows that the county is always better than the city. I'm just bragging because I know that we can be. And so I would like to see us get back to that. However they managed to take care of Belle Noire, however they managed to take care of Belle Reve, let us try to do the same thing. Because we have a vested interest. The people that have talked tonight, been here 50 years, been here 40 years, been here 30 years, been here 23 years. We're not new people. We've been here. And we shouldn't, I didn't even know that these meetings were open to the public. And when I found that out, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll come, and I usually attend by Zoom. So, I'm happy to be able to have a say, and I'm happy to say I want us to keep looking good and vital and growing, like U City, like Ladue, like, Belle Noire, Belle Reve. I want us to look good. I want us to take care of our things so that people will say, hey, that's a nice community over there. I wish I could live over there. I want people to come here. I don't want to run them out because they look at stuff and say, oh, look at that. It's all run down and nasty. Why should I invest over there? And that's the way it's looking right now. So please, let's talk about alternatives. Let's see what else is out that can be done to put the trees back, to put the flowers back. I thank the lady, I think her name is Cheryl, that said that, there are things that you can do to make it better, and so please, I would rather not see concrete. I'd rather see living things because living things represent that this community is growing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Renee Johnson, Pastor Murchison Tabernacle, 7629 Natural Bridge Road. I came to listen tonight. I got a text with the information that this meeting was being held, and as I was sitting and listening, I thought about when I came to this area in 1983 and worked for Normandy for 32 years and what this community looked like when I came. I thought about how the Normandy School District was taken over. And they brought in people that cared nothing about the community to start running the school district. I thought about when the former mayor was here and how his heart was in the right place, from what I could sense. But the support didn't seem to be in place. I'm disheartened because I don't live in this community. I have a vested interest in this community. But to hear the residents of Normandy, Missouri, to have all this going on and not know, is devastating. And there's absolutely no excuse for it. And if we are going to thrive, not just survive, we got to at least talk to each other. And people need to know what's going on. How do you think a person would feel to be asked to vote on something that they don't have all the information about? That's a problem. A serious problem. And we can keep talking about the accidents, the curbs, the flowers, and all of that. But talk to the people. Talk to the people that you serve. And then the people can talk to each other and share the information. So we won't get to a place like this again, where I preach Sunday, people perish for the lack of knowledge.
Yes, Pastor. Say it, Pastor.
You want us?
Can I speak?
Can I just say something? This is Pat Thomas again. I'm sorry. I originally had my hand up, and it was back when Sam was giving his presentation, and there was a couple of slides that I couldn't see. And so I was like, okay, why did those dim out? And then all of a sudden, when he got to the touching points that he wanted to touch upon, I think, all of a sudden I was able to see very clearly. And so that was the original reason I had my hand up, and I negated to voice that before. I would really like to see a copy of those slides, Sam, of your presentation, and just to look them over, because like I said, there were some things I didn't see. Thank you.
Can you put your email in the chat?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm
Okay.
gonna
Thank you.
Councilwoman Valle, and then go down.
Okay, a little bit of background on me. I was the former chair of the Board of Trustees for Glen Echo Park for 10 years before the mergers. My parents lived in the house that I live in now. I guess they moved there about 1982. My brother moved in the house next door in 1980. I didn't live here. I moved here about, 13 years ago. I'm coming on 14. And as soon as I came, I started making a lot of noise about what I didn't like that was going on in the village. The lady who was here, who left, Pat Chandler, was she didn't want to do the chair role anymore. I was a write-in vote. They appointed me chair in my first meeting because I made so much noise. I've watched Normandy from the outside closely because the move for merger started with me a long time ago. And so I saw those years prior to 2019, 2020. For the last 5 years, Normandy has been in a let's keep this boat afloat kind of a mode. And the people have been working very, very hard to right the ship. And that sometimes is people look at, okay, we'll make a list of things that we think that we need to see done, and let's check them off. I was always opposed to this, and I came into this council after the merger. I ran for 4th Ward, and so I've always been against this concrete idea. And I voted no consistently on that. I too believe that we can look at some other alternatives, and that's one of the things that I'm gonna urge the council to do. Someone asked about Glen Echo Country Club. I had a conversation with them about 3 weeks ago. They are very interested in being an active partner. I mentioned this project. They said, turf, flowers, that's what we do. So again, I think that we need to ask the questions. But you see, from my perspective, what I've seen the council going through is survival mode. Survival mode, trying to get the money straight because the money wasn't straight. Trying to keep the lights on, trying to do the very best for its citizens, but kind of in a vacuum. So we're so glad that people have come out to speak about this. My personal career, 40 or more years, was in student enrollment and recruitment. So, built databases, did lots and lots of marketing, did retention plans, all of that kind of stuff, which is not unlike what we're needing to do right now. If we have a shared vision about what's possible for our community, one of the things that it can't be any one person's idea about how things work. You may have a thought about what is possible, but you got to have that conversation be on a much broader base, and I'm so glad to see you all are here tonight. So once you have that vision and you enroll other people in that vision, it's kind of like a snowball rolling down the hill. You might start with one that's this big, but it's going to get huge. And it's not always going to look like what you thought about initially. But it'll be better or bigger, or somehow it morphs into something else. So in politics, nobody ever gets their way. Nobody. What we need to do is to look at compromise, discussion, involvement, and consensus. And so that's what I hope to see more of on the council and with this project. And I thank you all for coming out.
Hi, I'm Rick Nelson, and I'm honored to be a full-term city councilman to represent the citizens of Normandy. The great streets are the great streets. It's historical. You know, those burials and the pillows out there, people say, why are they out there? I asked the question, there were 300 accidents out there. Is that the facts here? Just want to ask the question, Chief. You said there were 300 accidents, crashes out there?
Yes, when traffic crashes.
Yeah, were there any fatalities?
No fatalities.
That's what I'm talking about. No deaths. I don't care about money. I care about people. There were no deaths. And I think that we need to continue to keep our great streets. The maintenance, we've neglected for several years. And we just need to get together. We got our citizens here. I just love seeing you out there because you care. And the great streets are great streets. We live in a city where only 2 other cities in this area, in the top of this, that has a college. UMSL and Western College, Western University. You can go to grade school, middle school, high school in this neighborhood and go to UMSL. My wife graduated from UMSL. And I'm proud of this city. And I'm gonna work hard to make sure that we keep things in place. I just love seeing you out there because you care. You may be from Belle Reve, Belle Noire, Beverly Hills, but this municipality here, this 24-1 footprint, this is ours. And we have to take care of it. And I'm just proud to be able to be here. 7.5, 8 years on this board, watching 3 mayors. But I know one thing, I'm gonna learn from each one of them. I'm gonna try to do the things they didn't do well, and they did do well. Because that's what I wanna do. And I just pray that we get together and do the right thing. I thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
I'm Tony Washington, got appointed to the board a couple months ago. I've been living in Normandy over 50 years. Mr. Washington's my neighbor. It's kind of coincidence, we both named Washington, we live next door to each other. But I remember when Parkchester Park was a beautiful park. Now look at it. Hosea Park, until recently, was a disaster, okay? I don't know why Normandy is going down the way it did. Back when we first moved here, it was beautiful. Everybody, the trash was picked up, the limbs were picked up, the service was great. But now, it's half of what it used to be, or less than half. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to get on the board, try to make changes, try to bring it back the way it used to be when I first moved here. So, yeah, I agree. We need to take time, have more discussion, and we don't need to rush. That's all I have.
I'm Karen Cleveland. I'm in Ward 1 representative. I've been in Normandy for over 30 years, and I remember how Normandy used to look so beautiful. I work out at UMSL. I run and I walk down Natural Bridge. And each time I go down there, I see the decline of Natural Bridge, and I'm going, what happened? Where are the volunteers that we speak of all the time that came out and put flowers out? I think the decline for me that happened was when Rodney passed away. Rodney was here 7 days a week. When Rodney passed, everything seemed like it just changed. I want to be a representative of Normandy for Ward 1 because we have our own issues over there in our ward. But I also want to try to bring back some integrity in Normandy, to beautify it again. You probably know how I voted already for the Great Street because I wanted to see it beautiful. I wanted to see some kind of change happening other than the broken fountain or whatever was broken out there. So yeah, I voted to have the concrete out there because I wanted to see something beautified. But I'm so happy that everybody came out. I'm glad to hear everyone's concerns and all your ideas. I love this. I love this forum right now, and I'm hoping we can always have this type of forum here so we can hear your concerns, so we can do something about it. So I also agree to pause it. We got your feedback, which is awesome. You're awesome. We have your feedback, and I'm hoping now we can just take all your feedback and hope we can see this forum again and people can come in and start volunteering and helping us out to help make Normandy better again. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Steve Sachsenheimer. I've lived here since 1980. And first and foremost, I heard absolutely every word everyone said. Okay, I am a green person. But I will tell you this, I voted for the cement for one reason. I've seen, this is my 16th year, I've seen volunteers come and say, don't do this, I'll volunteer to do this. Over 45 years I've seen here, I've seen the list go from here to here. And I'll also tell you this, since the passing of Rodney, God bless him, he had a crew of 8 people in Public Works. We have a crew of 3. So as much as I want to see flowers out here as soon as possible, you have to kind of keep things in reality. Public Works will really struggle as it sits today to try and maintain that. So I'm hoping and praying that absolutely everyone that volunteered their services here are willing to volunteer. Because as of this staff, between the grass cutting and picking trash up and everything else, there's magnets, as everyone knows, about trash. Bermuda Road's one, Natural Bridge is one, that's just to name 2. And they pick it up 2 or 3 times a week. Okay, the Public Works does. So I'm giving him their props for having 3 people on the street, okay? But keep that in mind. When Rodney was here, he had a full crew. There is no full crew now, okay? as much as I would love to see 8 people out there where we could put 2 people on this all summer long. I cannot see it happening. I hope it can. I'm a positive person by nature. But what I would love to see, I will put some of my time out there. I can't do it all the time. I've had too many heart surgeries. They don't even want me to do it once, but I'll put my 2 cents in. I love the plant. I want to see it beautified, even though Karen and I live on the other side of the city. We live in Ward 1. Okay? I still want to see it nice. Keep in mind this. When this thing was started, we didn't have near the speeding problem that has shown the last 10 years. Okay? I don't know about you. It's going to be rather difficult to get out there first when you see cars come racing down Natural Bridge at 50, 55 miles an hour while you're standing in the middle planting flowers. So keep that in mind too. Now that could be fixed potentially. I think the chief has got some great ideas. So I'm looking at this, I want to see it preserved, period. But I want everyone to understand it will not succeed if we don't have all these volunteers. Because the way it's staffed, there's no way they can support it like it should be. So, thank you so much. I appreciate absolutely everyone for coming out. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
When we had that staff of 8,
Yes.
we were taking care of trash service. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
So
but we still kept the people though. We
just
didn't
wanna
lay
clarify
the
that.
people off.
Those guys were picking up every day.
Right, right. Back then when we started this, when it started to have issues with the trash service and everything, the people still stayed. So that gave Rodney extra people that he could put on things like this. And I will tell you this about Rodney, every morning before work, he drove the entire city. Every time he came in, before work.
Now, what you said is beautiful. Now, think about this. I don't know his name, Rich, the guy we have now. He doesn't drive our city once a week. Tony and I were just talking. Dennis. Is that who you Oh, no, not Dennis. Rick, he's the guy who gives tickets or stuff.
That's
Yeah,
our code.
there's a huge dumpster on our street. The last time I checked, we had to get, all those, permits. So when I email y'all, I know y'all get tired of my emails. When I email and say he's not coming over here, he clearly ain't been over there in a week because that thing, that bright orange, green thing has been sitting there and there's no tickets on it. So if Rodney drove the city every day, think about how we feel when y'all don't drive the city once a week. Our council people don't even drive by our neighborhoods.
I could tell you this for a fact, Karen and I drive Ward 1 2 or 3 times a piece
Shout out to y'all.
in Ward 1.
Right. Shout out. That's good.
So, I'm not pointing fingers, everyone needs to do their own
What's
thing.
beautiful is you all should, if we have somebody who's getting health care, insurance, 401k through our taxpayer dollars, they should be able to come through at least once a week to be able to see things like that. Like I said, the police chief left, they went by on hand. All these people that are here today, my back is not the best. I had surgery 2 years ago. I walked Ward 1, 2, and 3 and made sure to get people out. So if I can do it and y'all are council people, y'all can do it. Y'all can get people here if you want to communicate.
Amen.
I just wanted clarity on the reason why there are just 3 staff members. Is it a budget problem? Is it with not hiring, people not wanting to do the work? I just needed to understand. I get it from 8 to 3, but I want to know why.
Yeah.
I think Sam could answer that.
I wasn't with the city when there was 8, but we used to have a sanitation department. So those people could be cross-trained, and when they weren't picking up trash, they could help with the other projects. For your mowing, your picking up trash, your filling potholes, and your trash service, right? And they could, but once we got rid of the trash service, it was, we had to downsize. And then additionally, recently, because of, we've had a few tough financial years in the past 3 years. ranging from COVID kind of started it to increased insurance premiums across the market to a wide range of reasons, and Public Works has seen cuts, as have all the departments. So that's the main reason. And right now, I mean, we just ran a hiring process, but you know, we're hoping we have vacant positions right now. Even it's the winter, so it's okay. We'll be fine. But yeah, even this summer we'll have 3 people.
Thank you. That's the kind of information that residents need to know for a reason why.
Councilwoman Shivers, do you want to go next?
Sure. I just wanted to say I'm just enthused with all of the residents that showed up this evening. And I've been a resident for quite a few years, 52 to be exact. And Mr. Jones, are you still there on the corners?
Yeah.
I was your backup singer down there at one of the barbecues.
All right.
So it's been a while, and it's been a roller coaster here in Normandy. And I appreciate the words that the pastor had. And I still come up there and get my ashes from you on Ash Wednesday. So we need all the prayers, and we need the initiatives of the residents. Everyone has positive thoughts, and if we get all of the thoughts and put everybody's hands together and do what we do best, better, we can make Normandy great again. Just wanted to pinpoint, I wanted to give kudos to the NAACP city and county. We got the Annie Malone parade back on track. So it's going to be going on. Also, something that's negative, that Ferguson Florissant, they're talking about letting the state take over. They're in the red. So that's going to have a very negative impact on Normandy. Just wanted to let you know that. And hopefully we can move positive. I hope we can put this project on hold. I'm against it. I voted no, and I hope we can have other suggestions. I don't think we have the money for it. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Evans? Is he still on? Councilman Evans?
Turn it on mute.
Can't hear you.
He was?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Hey, you guys, how's everybody doing today?
Great.
I hear it's a pretty nice turnout. I wish I could be there. I'm normally there, but I have the flu. I don't want to get everybody sick. Hey, there was a lot of good points made tonight, and kind of piggyback off Councilman Saxenheimer. I love flowers. If you come by my house, I have flowers on the side, flowers in the back. I have a vegetable garden I love to plant, but it takes work. So there's the volunteers. Everybody, not everybody, but everybody's speaking on it. They want to see flowers. So if this plan is put on hold, would there be people there to volunteer to plant flowers and to upkeep flowers?
Only you gotta communicate. You know, I've been coming to meetings.
Wait, I'm gonna ask you to stop because I'm gonna.
He's asking for volunteers.
Go ahead, Councilman Evans.
Okay. That's all I have to say. I would love to see flowers, plants, or either some type of native bush, and a perennial that's going to come back every year. You don't have to take as much work. And I would like to see additional plans as far as what else we can do with those beds.
Thank you.
May I make a comment on Mr. Evans? Why can't we get some type of budget in for public works to take care of the flowers there?
Well, to be honest, over the years, the public works budget has been.
I was asking Mr. Johnson about what you just stated.
Can I public works?
Pardon?
Can I interrupt you and speak on the public works?
Please do.
For the last 10 years, the public works budget has been diminished. Every year, there was nobody standing up to fight for public works. Now the budget is close to nothing. At one time, public works had 15 employees. Now we only have 2.
Okay. Now, what reason was it that no one was fighting for public works? I just can't see that. Now, you've been on the council for how many years, Mr. Evans?
I'm just saying.
But I'm just saying,
the budget has been increased.
How did that happen?
For the last 10 years.
But how did that happen? And you're a vital council member.
Well, there was a few people on the council. Look at the last couple mayors. Oh, that's for another discussion. I don't want to discuss. That's not for open discussion. We can discuss that behind closed doors.
Okay.
That's a problem. Sam, can you answer her question?
The question about
what was your question about public works, Councilwoman Shivers?
I've been inquiring about us having public works to hire someone, 1 or 2 part-time people to do the take care of the flowers on that bridge.
Believe it or not, we need 6 people.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Now, why do we need 6? Mr. Johnson, do you think we need 6?
I'm not sure that we need 6, but it's also the level of service that you guys want to pay for determines the amount of people that we have. It was cut recently because, again, we had increasing insurance premiums. We had increasing health insurance rates. Frankly, the wage that you have to pay to get a laborer in who can, pass a background check to do work is much higher than it used to be. Right now, our minimum pay is at $17 an hour, and we can find people at that rate, but it's not easy. And just the cost of bringing people in here is expensive, and we've struggled to keep up the past few years. And then again, I'll go back to the sanitation department. When we ran our own sanitation department, that was supported by the fees, the trash fees that people paid, and so it kind of had a benefit that they could serve in both roles. I'll also say, aside from the personnel in public works, the capital in public works has gone down significantly. It deteriorated. Lots of deferred maintenance with our equipment. And a lot of that has to do with our capital improvement fund, which wasn't very well funded, but we recently changed how that tax was collected, switching to the pool tax, and we do have some money there, but we have a lot of catch up that we have to do, and it's going to take a couple of years before we start to see the fruit of that investment.
Okay. Now, like I said, I've been here 52 plus years, somewhere in that area, more maybe. But we used to have students, Mr. Saxonhammer's son worked during the summertime. Do we not have that, or we can't offer that anymore?
That was summer help, and that had to be budgeted for, and it's not in the budget.
Well, we do have a summer help position this summer, but, yeah, that's another thing, but it's also hard to find part-time people. I mean, we can't really keep up with wages. We can offer, benefits and vacation time, and part-time people don't receive those. So the $17 an hour hurts even more in that case.
Now, it's 13 for the students. Now, they would need the extra benefits, would they? They would just get
Yeah, there's some pool, like students who would take the job, but you're just limiting your pool of applicants. is all.
right. Okay. Okay, then. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I like that.
You wanna
Go ahead.
come to?
Go ahead.
Okay, I do, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Just two quick things. Wow, I forgot about that program because there were a lot of boys that my neighborhood when I was younger that would do that. I totally forgot about that program. And believe it or not, we can barely find little boys that want to shovel snow or do anything. But I think if we put the information out there, we might be able to get some kids, especially from the school, that would do that. I know you said somebody's coming for the summer. I hope they're not just helping in the office. There is a young man, maybe early 30s. He has his own landscaping company. He's helped me do a few things during the spring. He's part-time with Pasadena and helps them. So maybe if we don't want to have someone come in and have to pay for insurance and all those things, do part-time seasonal work. Like, hey, buddy, come in March with one of you and your other guys, put this stuff in. And like we said, we have all that other help. And the only thing I'm concerned about also is I keep hearing deferred, and I think that the honest word is negligence. It's just been negligence for a long time, so we just want to stop that. So thank you.
Mr. Gordon?
Oh.
You want to say something?
The only reason I'm getting up again is because I'm the former director for workforce development for St. Louis County. And when you talk about finding people, there are a lot of partnerships you can create, like the one that's at North Oaks Shopping Center, the lower level. That's an office, that's a branch of workforce development for St. Louis County. And they find people. That's their job, is to find, their job is to find jobs for individuals. And there are so many spread out through St. Louis County, including the office at the Met Center. And that's what they do. So there's a lot of partners out there that have a broad reach of individuals that are looking. And you have Father Support Center, Urban League, and I can just go on and on and on.
Save Our Sons.
Save Our Sons. So there are avenues out there to get qualified people, and they will, in most cases, screen those individuals, drug test them, and provide those potential applicants to you.
Thank you. I'm gonna let
I've heard this narrative
No, I
that,
need to speak, yeah.
I've heard this narrative that the only way that we can do this is with volunteers. That's not true.
No, not at all.
That is not true. You can plant things that will come back on their own. Our little park over in Glen Echo, and it hasn't been looking as good as we like it now that we're with Normandy. However, all we have to do over there is to deadhead once a year, remulch, plant the right things, get them established after one season of watering, and they will come back. They will spread. Black-eyed Susans, irises, salvia, roses. Well, roses are a little bit harder to maintain. I'm talking about stuff like creeping thyme, any number of other things that will come back. So I think that when we're talking about alternatives, we need to be open to a wide variety of things, including some budget, some volunteer, some help from businesses who have a vested interest in this area looking nice. So we don't, I'm a gardener. I love to do that. I can't do it as much since I broke my ankle. I'm not about to get out and try to do volunteer work on Natural Bridge. I can't do it anymore. But There are schools, Luther North is one of them, requires 120 hours of volunteer work from every single student there before they can graduate from high school. Incarnate Word probably has something else like that too. So there are lots of possibilities that we just need to have everybody come again, and I like Yolanda's idea of having a public hearing sort of thing where we can actually get some ideas down about what people want, what resources that they have, and then get a real idea before we start solving things here today.
Okay, I think we've been a little bit misled. We had $980,000 COVID money. Is that the right number, Sam?
Are you, yeah, if you're referring to ARPA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had that money come in, and our public works department was hurting. And as far as public safety, that's what that money was for. We even had citizens that were hurting that we didn't have a plan for them, last administration. But our police department, we need our safety, but our police department gets 65% of our budget. And every year, like Tony said, we have struggled to get Rodney money for his workers and their public safety workers. Prop P money comes in every year, 60,000, is that what it is? Or is it more now?
I think it's a little more than that.
A little more than that, every year. But the bottom line is we don't put our money where we need to put it. We bought 8 police cars, $450,000 for 8 police cars, and we had cars that were stacked up over here like a car lot. I guess you guys know that, right? If you drive by here, you see that. And we had to what? We gave all the police officers raises. I love my police officers, and we need our public safety, but we cannot use our money in one entity, one agency, when we got this whole city. You know, our administration is what? Every month, we're over budget administration. Well, most of the time.
That's not true.
Okay, well, let me finish talking. I'm just going by the minutes, okay? And then we're over budget in police. Now we're at not that point because we only have 19 police officers now. We budgeted for like 27, something in that area. But the thing is, what I'm saying, we have Prop P money. I wanted to buy a trash truck. They didn't want to do that. We just depleted our public works department. We got 2 workers, never 1 now. Don't we have 1 worker now? Public works?
Filled, yeah, but
Yeah,
we have 2 more that will be starting soon.
They'll be starting soon, we need them. But money that we're talking about spending on $180,000 on concrete, and we need to put money in positions where we need to have people, workers. We're talking about volunteers. Why do we need someone to volunteer to do something that public works, that's their job?
Well, I want to say something because it keeps getting
I'm
brought
not,
up
I'm
about
not, I'm not finished
the labor.
talking.
Okay,
I'm not finished talking. Those are things that we have to talk about. We got to tighten up our budget, listen to our citizens, and do what we need to do to give our citizens their services, their safety, their services, and that's what they need. We already seen what happened with this snow. Terrible. You know, we can't just play it by ear. We have to take control of our city, and we have to be the leadership in this city to get the things done for the citizens, for the residents, for them, not for us, because we work for them. You know, that money that came up, that ARPA money, and then we had $300,000 just sitting there, and it evaporated. We don't know where that went. And then we bought a $105,000 truck that took us a year to get. That's the truck that drives around and drops a little something. So the bottom line is don't mislead the citizens because they're smart. We got smart citizens in this town. Normally ain't nothing to play with. We got smart, intelligent people in this town. And they're watching us because we're the people that they elected to work for them. That's it.
Okay, yeah, I just want,
I'm gonna let Sam.
We spend about 40% of our ARPA money in public works, buying 2 new trucks, a new roof for public works.
Actually, it was a truck for $40,000.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Not a new truck.
We're gonna let him finish.
I asked to get the truck for
I'm
$200,000.
gonna let Sam finish,
Well,
sorry.
don't say it's a new
I'm
truck.
gonna let Sam finish.
$40,000
Please,
not a new truck.
please, I'm gonna let Sam finish.
Go ahead, Sam.
No, I was just saying, we did spend a lot of our ARPA money in public works. And then also, we're talking a lot about the public works laborers. I just want to clarify for everyone, we cannot use the economic development fund to pay for public works laborers.
I said Prop
It's
P.
already,
Prop P.
well, I know you said Prop P, but not, this isn't even directed at you specifically, just, we're talking a lot about public works laborers. We cannot use the economic development fund for that. We have to use it for an economic development project. Frankly, it's kind of a bit of a stretch to pay for landscaping year in and year out as an economic development project when you read the statute. We've done it, and I think it's fine, but that's also kind of something to keep in mind, that these funds should be used for land acquisition, job training, a bunch of, marketing for developers, stuff that we don't even have any dollars to do for real economic development because they're tied up in this project. Yeah, there's plenty of alternatives to explore and more input to gather for sure.
Councilwoman Gibson.
Yeah, I think that, as I said, I have been watching Normandy from outside for a long time. I led the way for a merger with Normandy because we were too small to do some of the things that our citizens deserve to have because we were just too little. I do know that the city has been struggling financially, and it wasn't because of mismanagement, it was because of lawsuits and the purchase of the building across the street. And that just needs to be out there and clear. Anybody who wants to look at the budgets of Normandy, they're all public information. You can see where every single penny is spent. And our police officers not only use some of our money, but they bring in money from the contracts that we have as well. In order to retain a police officer who's good, who files, has clear background check, police officers can go a lot of places and make much more money than they make here. And we're really lucky to have the ones that we have. So any discussion of cutting the police is not feasible in my opinion. Thank you.
I just want to clear the air, since we're clearing the air here. When he was talking about buying a trash truck and retaining those people, there was two factors to that. Number one, the dumping fees were more money per month than the salaries and the maintenance on the truck. Number one. Number two, there was at least a dozen people that didn't pay their trash bill for 20 or 25 years. True story, you can look at it, it's on record. That's why your trash bill goes up all the time, because that trash company has to eat that. So before you talk about the trash service, put it all out there. They weren't paying their bills, and we were losing money. We subsidized, the council subsidized that trash fund for at least 10 years that I know of. We lost money every year. So if you want to put it out there, put the truth out there. That's a record, you could check that.
So, I love the fact that everyone is here. That's beautiful. I love the fact that everyone is very charged about how they feel about things. I think that's beautiful too. When we talk about what Normandy has and what Normandy doesn't have, I think we need to look at the things that we have bought, and a lot of people know I did not grow up here. I grew up in North County, but I did not grow up here. I bought my house here in 2017, I believe, and when I came, the flowers were here. Might have been 2018. I can't remember. One of those years. The flowers were here, and I thought the flowers were gorgeous. then COVID hit, and at the time we had a female public works director, and I asked her, why don't we have any flowers? Where are the flowers? Where are the flowers? And her response to me was, the flowers cost too much. And I said, well, how much do the flowers cost? And she told me that the flowers cost $30,000. And I was like, well, that's a lot of money for flowers. This is the conversation that I had with her. I think that when we talk about moving forward, you have to think about realistically what we have and realistically like what we're going to get down the road, because we have to do projections. And we also realistically, just like Steve said, just like Vicky said, we have to remember the history of how things happen. Okay, that funeral home happened. We had lawsuits that happened. We had no audits before 2021 that did not happen.
Right.
Okay, so when you're talking about holding people accountable and holding the record accountable, like what you paid for, why did you do this? The reason why you have audits, and since I've been sitting on the council, we've had audits. The reason why you have audits is because you keep people accountable with your tax money. That's what it's supposed to do, right? Oh, you're spending too much money on this. You need to clean up your records on that. And we didn't have that before. So it is disheartening to hear that people that come in here to work every day, I've heard someone say, you're making that up. They don't have a reason to make it up. This is their job. This is data. This is data. This is what happened. This was the history. This is what happened. Okay? So moving forward, I don't have a problem spending money on whatever it is the community wants to spend money on. However, I'm going to be realistic when I look at the numbers. I'm a math teacher. If it's not there, it ain't there. Negative means negative, and that's just what it is, right? I would love to have people come in here at every meeting. This is not a new meeting. I advocated for these meetings with Debbie Rosso, who is not on the council anymore, and we've been having these meetings for about 2.5 years because we said we needed a workshop. This is not new. This happens the 4th Thursday of the month. This is when it happens. And you guys can come at any time. And we have our regular meetings on the 2nd Tuesday of the month at 6:30. And you can come at any time. We want to see you all the time, not just when you're angry, because you have to stay engaged. Now, I will say that I have walked around and I've talked to people and I've asked people point blank, would you like to serve? Would you like to do this? I'm busy. I'm too tired. I gotta do this and everything. Those are the things that I hear. Is that the only prong that we can have in this plan? No, it's not. We can have community partnerships. I heard someone say, well, we can ask the other mayors and everything. I think that's a great idea. Come with your checkbook, and if you're in that community, you can go and tell your person, hey, you know what? This is something that I feel like we need to put our money towards, because Normandy is paying for that. Your tax dollars are paying for that. If Belle Noor and Belle Reve and everybody wants to come in and give $20,000 and we're going to have people do this and everything, I think that's a great idea. But it also has to be consistent. So when you talk about making a plan, it doesn't have to be, we're going to do this one thing, right? Plans have different avenues. And really you want a multi-pronged plan, because if the plan falls apart, then you have other things that you can rely on to like hold it up. So you don't just rely on just grants. You also rely on community help, or you also rely on, your own budget and things like that. So I did vote to have the medians down, because to me that's a more cost-effective way for Normandy to maintain what we have. I voted for that. I will not vote for something that is not a sure thing. And when I mean not a sure thing, I don't think that it's a good idea to go over to somebody else's, to go to my neighbor's house and say, hey, you know what? I want to have a party. Can I plug in my lights into your outlet? And then my neighbor says, well, yeah, you can. Okay, then I come back again and I say, well, can I use it again? And your neighbor's like, it was kind of an inconvenience before, but yeah, you can. Well, if you keep coming back, maybe at one point my neighbor won't want me to, and my neighbor will say no, right? That's what happens sometimes. So I would like to see a partnership. I would like to see people come together. I would also like to see people be safe. I would also like to see a plan that is cost effective and that can be continuous. I like the idea of everybody coming together. I think that's great. I advocate for people to come together in communication. I love that. But I think we also, when we're making this plan, we need to be realistic about who can do what, right? And so we know that we did have a public works, but it was expensive, right? It was expensive to maintain, and we couldn't do those things. So let's remember that we have public works, and trash didn't get picked up all the time. Let's remember that. I remember the last few years of public works, and maybe some of you else will remember, that there was always a break, and there was trash everywhere. And this is when I started on the council, and this is the reason why we had to move in a different direction. Things were getting left. People were quitting. People were stealing time. Those are things that were happening. And I'm not trying to make it up. I don't have a reason to make it up. You can look at the tape, you can look at the minutes. Those things were actually happening. So if we come back to the table, we do have a public works director. But if we come back to the table, we also need to say, realistically, can Normandy, if these things, let's say our 3 prongs, fall apart, can we stand on our own 2 feet and do it? Because what we don't want to do is, it looks pretty for a little bit, and then 2 years later, we're right back here. That's what we don't want, right? Coming back to the table and communicating, I think is great. I think it's also good to be realistic about what we can actually do. So I want everybody to keep that in mind. We are not broke, okay? We are not broke. But that, and going in front of the judge and doing crazy things, and the insurance that kept going up, and the cost of living that we cannot afford to give the raises for people, those things cost money. If you want to keep good people, you got to pay. You do. That's the reality of it. So if we don't have the money, and it's not cost effective, and it's not something that's sustainable, I think it's a no in my mind. I just don't like the idea of us not being able to stand on our own 2 feet. I think that Normandy, when you ask people about Normandy, and I've done this at the polls before, do you live in Normandy? And they say, yeah, I live in Normandy. I live in Bellevue Bakers. And I'm like, well, no, you don't live in Normandy. And then what's the difference? Well, you can't vote for me. Because these are people that are residents at the dais and everything. Now, as a collective whole, do people say that they live in Normandy? Yes, right? And that's great, but everybody has to contribute, right? And so it's not just you pointing the fingers at us and everything, or us pointing the fingers at you. I think that we also have to engage, like you said, the other cities that are around us, but you have to have some skin in the game. And skin in the game means you're sending people, you're giving a check, you're providing services. Hey, I don't have this, but we have this over here. Let's do that. I think that's a great idea. But I also want a plan that's realistic. So when I talked to Vicki and some other council members, my plan was, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we have a public hearing? And I wanted to have it on March 18th. Now, I did not sign any paperwork for the contract to go through. But then I found out a few days ago, the company would like to go, they want it signed by March 10th. I don't feel comfortable signing it, knowing that we need more input. I don't want this council or anyone to feel like they're being bullied into a decision either. So I feel like if we send out postcards to your house, and just like you came today, whatever day we set, you go and you tell your neighbor, hey, you know what, neighbor, come with me. Come with me. I know you don't live in Normandy, but come with me. I think that we need to give enough time for people to understand exactly what's going on. And I will say this, I read a lot. If something comes in the packet, I try to research and do other things, and I I have looked at other communities and what they do. My idea was put in concrete and then flowers around the perimeter. That was because that's safer for people to maintain, or hanging baskets like they have them to do in Creek Court.
Well, what about?
Put flowers around the perimeter. So like where Reed's is, where Gannon's building is, just down the sidewalk. Like let's do that instead, and then have concrete in the middle. That was my idea, because I'm like, okay, yes, that will offset one of the other things. Have hanging baskets. That was one of my ideas, right? Fill the planters with more flowers. That was one of my ideas. So it doesn't have to be, like Vicky was saying, it doesn't have to be one thing. I don't have a problem with it being something else. I am not that rigid of a person that you cannot communicate and talk to me. I will tell you what I think, and I think that you all tell me what you think, and I sit and I listen and I nod and I take notes. And I would like to have the same thing happen. I think we all need to listen to each other and listen and nod to take notes, but we need to also remember the truth. We need to remember the way things happened. And it is not fair for us to come in here and to say, well, that's not true. That's not how much money was spent. Because you know what? If it's not that much money that was spent, then where is it? And like Kim keeps saying, then somebody was stealing. So, we don't have it. It ain't at my house. You can come to 7262 Normandy Place and look, it ain't there. The concrete ain't gonna be in my house either. I have spent my time trying to get money for Norman, and I have done that. And I will continue to do it, but I want us to be in a good place. So we're at a good place when it comes to our insurance. We're at a good place when it comes to our police department. People deserve raises. We're supposed to give them that. We need to give people a living wage. You can go to Chick-fil-A and make $22 an hour. We paying $17. We have to remember those things. So if you want people to work and do and, and everything like that, then pay them what they work. Now that also means you ain't gonna have money for that. Or you're not gonna have money for this, right? Because you gotta spend money on this, well that means you gotta take it from somewhere else. So we have to remember that too. So let's all come together and think of different things, and you come with your different ideas, right? I would like to see MoDOT here. I want to see UMSL here. We put in emails to them. They didn't respond yet and everything like that.
So do you think you can have a meeting?
We asked them to come, but I wanted to have it on March 18th.
But you said that you got to sign before.
But I'm not going to. I told Sam, I was like, I don't feel comfortable signing because I wanted to have it on the 18th. And so he said they wanted the thing signed by the 10th. And I was like, well, I really wanted to have a public meeting.
Can we push them back and just say that we need a little bit more?
Well, if they choose to, that's the other thing he was saying. He was saying that like they might not come back to the table. So that's a possibility. And like you were asking about the 3 bids, I can't show you. That's like, show me the houses, that I didn't see. Like it's like if we put it out there like on the computer or like we put it in the paper and everything. Whoever bids on it, bids on it. And sometimes, and he talked about this too, in 2019, this happened, or whatever, or in whatever year this happened with the light post. Well, if you don't get paid from a community, am I gonna bid on it again? Well, no. Well, you have a bad reputation, right? And that's one of the reasons why we don't get a lot of bids, because we have a bad reputation for not paying our bills, okay? And that happened under previous leadership. And I would like to see us turn the corner and to pay our bills. And a lot of the people, I think the light post people, they said that they're not even gonna do anything until we give them $11,000. That was from what, 2015 or what year was that?
2019.
2019. So we gotta pay them first before they even come back. So whoever bids on something, that's the person that bids on it. And if you owe them, then they're like, they remember you. They remember.
Just one small thing, just to kind of piggyback on what you were just saying about reputational risk. I think you hadn't been on the council yet, and I was literally talking to Mark every day. His sister-in-law can attest to this. As soon as Mark got in office, when you were kind of coming in and getting active, the reason why we were having issues with the trash being picked up or the trash cans being fixed, and I know this firsthand from talking to people in the office and Mark, is that Maurice, whoever that interim pro tem mayor was, He was not paying the bill for dumping. He was telling them not to pay it. So when the guys would have trash and take it out there at Earth City, they turned it back around. Also, same thing you said. He would on good faith say, hey guys, fix our trash trucks. Well, that's okay 1 or 2 times, but when we did, he told them not to pay. And then so Mark was like, Kim, he didn't pay the last 2 times they fixed it, and there's no record of this. So yeah, I just
You
wanted to.
can't, people are not gonna bid on it, and it's just, that's just the way it is.
Well, we can fix it.
Yeah, but I wanna move forward, I want to turn the corner. I love that we're all here. I wanna see everybody keep coming, I do. And when you get that postcard in the mail, and it says, come on this day, if you cannot come, you can get on Zoom. Or you can email your council members and tell them, this is what I want, this is what I see, you can do that. I'm open to communication. Everybody up here is open to communication. Now we got a board, right? Because I'm going to board. You got a meeting, right? I know you don't come over here and everything like that, but I got a lot of people that I text. It's a meeting tonight, it's a meeting tonight, it's a meeting tonight, you know? And if that's what I have to do, then that's what I will do. And I'll continue to do that. But I think, like Kim was saying, let's just remember things the way that they were. I am not trying to rewrite history. I am not trying to cover up anything. The numbers are just the numbers. It is what it is.
What's that old saying? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie.
Exactly. And if it's not enough, look, if it's not enough check at the end of the month,
right,
then that's just what it is. Okay? So let's all get engaged. Talk to your neighbors. Please talk to your neighbors. Please talk to your neighbors and tell them to come. I really want you guys to tell them to come. I would love to see this place full. I really would. I really would. So we can take it. Actually, she's good.
Well, real quick before there's a vote, just to kind of clarify about where we're at with the contractor again. So the bid they submitted was good for 60 days. That's where that March 10th date comes. If we want to delay, then they may be willing to extend past that. But frankly, their schedule's probably going to fill up this summer. And if we delay and go into public comment and do a thing, if it results in any change in the plan, then it's going to get pushed back.
And we can have Tabitha come probably by then too.
Right, that's fine.
Tabitha, I think you guys saw, she was the lady from MoDOT that came, and she came in and talked to us about, she was the one that I emailed and asked her to come in and talk about the
that was last year,
yeah. So we asked her to come back. So
She's on vacation.
She's on.
That's why she's not here tonight.
Well, good job, you. So we can probably have her come back, and because what they also do is, and this is one of the things that I talked to her about. I said, why was that cast stone picked? And she told me that it was at MoDOT. They have 3 different choices for communities to pick from, and they tell them this is what we have. So if something happens, you know, like you can pay us to do it. She said that they decided when Green was in office, they wanted to use this, right? And she's like, that's what they picked. Understanding, because they have an engineer there, and they tell you, you're gonna have to maintain it, right? That's your job, it's in your community, we helping you with it, but you're gonna have to maintain it. That was the choice of the people that were on the council at that time, to have that stump and to have it, and like you said, that's just the bid. That's not the transport, that's not the installation, that's not any of that. So we can engage MoDOT to have a lower cost, design. They will help us with that, and it will be something that we can they can have at MoDOT and use. But when it comes to those kind of things, so I want people to hear me. If you pick expensive stuff, you have to pay for expensive stuff to get fixed, right? That's just how it is. If you drive a BMW, you're going to have to pay the BMW. This is why I don't drive a BMW, because I'm not paying that maintenance cost, right? So that's what it is. So it doesn't have to be cheap, but it needs to be cost effective. And I think that we can all agree that we are engaged and we can come back to the table for this. So, you want to take a vote? No? You ready? Everybody?
Just real quick, so a yes vote means we're going to table it?
So the original motion, and correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman Nelson, was made at the previous meeting, but it was to delay the project to gather more community.
Delay the project until we get more citizens input and stakeholders, and I think that's the best way to go.
We can't hear you all on
Right. So the motion is to delay the project to gather more community input from residents and stakeholders.
Right.
So a yes vote would basically, would delay the project. We'd have a public hearing. The stamped concrete as it is, that bid would probably expire. If we ever wanted to go back to that idea, we'd have to go out and rebid. A no vote would mean that we bring the contract for the council for approval and signing. So yes, but delays, no, moves forward.
Do we have to set the date for the public hearing?
We do not.
Not at this point.
I think we'll just find a date that this room's available and we can send out postcards.
Alright, so it's just that, okay.
Yeah, this is just to delay and what do I need to tell the contractor tomorrow? is
Okay,
basically what-
I got you. Alright.
Did
Tony, and Ms. Shivers, did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I heard it.
You understand what the yes vote
A
means?
yes vote, a yes vote means that we're gonna delay the project, right?
Yeah.
Go back to the contractors.
Yeah.
Okay.
Councilwoman Shivers, do you understand? Is she on there?
She's there.
She's here, she said she's muted. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. How come I see, did he turn his camera off?
It's gotta be
She'll
on
pop
camera.
up once she starts speaking.
No, is his camera off?
Yes,
Because
his
he
camera is-
Okay.
Tony, turn your camera on.
It's on.
It's not on. Oh, no, it is. Councilwoman Shivers, do you understand what a yes vote means?
Can you, I couldn't hardly hear you and I couldn't say anything because I was muted.
A yes vote means you want to delay it and get more public
Okay,
input.
understood.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank
let's
you.
vote.
All right. Ready?
Councilman Sassenhagen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Washington?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilwoman Shivers?
yes,
Okay.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes?
Councilwoman Boyer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes. Thank you. Don't let this be y'all last meeting. Y'all standing up at this podium.
Yeah, please.
If we stay informed.
Put it in her phone. The second Tuesday and the fourth Thursday.
I'm gonna keep it funky with you. I know you said that you wanted to pass, that you wanna send out a flyer. You know how I got all these people here? Me and 2 other people walked Ward 1, 2, and 3 and took them to their doors.
I want stuff too. I passed my stuff too. I
No,
told
I'm
people
talking for this meeting.
No, I'm talking about for this meeting too. I gave people, I let people know. Some of these people that are here, yeah, I texted them, so.
Was the flyer that you created.
Right.
That I shared on Nextdoor.
What are we on?
That Ms. Gannon then shared. And then, yes.
If y'all want me to help y'all with flyer, I said this a while ago, let me know.
We're gonna go to number 2.
My post begins in every move.
We're gonna go to number 2.
Oh.
Council Bill number 25-02, an ordinance of the City of Normandy amending chapter 405, Article 12, section 405-700, condition use permits of the City of Normandy Code of Ordinances regarding conditional use permits for extended hours of business operation. None of these, just so you guys know, none of these are votes. Okay, we're not voting. Yeah, the only thing that was a vote was the meeting and everything. I'm sorry, can you,
We gotta go.
We're still in.
okay, we're still in session. If you, yeah. Thank you. So, nothing that we do from now, that was the only vote. Okay. Just so you guys know. So this is just the stuff. So if you have any questions, or anything on like any of these, that's what. So this one was the extended business hours where they would have to have a special use permit and pay $125. Sam, you wanna?
Yeah. Again, so we'll have a final vote at the next meeting regarding this. And yeah, we had a public hearing at this last time. It basically moves the general closing hours up for all businesses in the City of Normandy from 1:30 to 12 a.m. And so if you want to stay open past 12 a.m., you'll need a conditional use permit. And then, I think I misspoke at the last meeting because it says $150 in this ordinance, so.
It's not 125?
It's 150.
Oh.
But we could change that to 125 for the next.
Should we?
It doesn't really
Oh,
matter.
any questions on,
So what are the hours now?
what are the,
What hours?
The hours now, you can stay up till 1:30, stay open until 1:30 without a conditional use permit.
yeah,
To 1:30.
Yeah.
so we wanna do 12.
I'm gonna cut it back to
Yeah.
12.
So that everything closes at 12, and if you wanna stay open later, you have to come in.
This was another one, Mark Beckman actually initiated this before he retired. It was sent to planning and zoning. They had a bunch of other business, so it kind of sat in that committee for a while. And here we are,
Yeah.
quite a few months later.
So Honey's, we just had a planning and zoning meeting.
Yes.
Tuesday. They want to stay open until 12, but they can't, they have to come in for a special use permit and everything. So, I think we have what, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for them to stay open until 12? Yeah, so they came here to apply for it. So under this one, they wouldn't have had to come back. They would have had to say like, can we stay open to 1:30?
So it would be easier for the businesses.
Everybody, yeah,
They wouldn't
everything
have to
would,
come back in.
yeah.
I don't think the people out there can hear.
Hey, oh, you can't hear?
No, we were wondering, I've been saying this for the past 30 years, we can certainly do better with those mics up there.
We don't have any microphones anymore, actually.
You don't have that?
We don't have any microphones anymore. Actually, these don't work.
We have to put that in the budget.
Yeah.
Why don't you throw those things in the trash?
I guess they've been here since Jesus was here. I don't know.
I've been here
Yeah.
70 years, and those things have not been working.
You've been here how long?
Hey, Sam, can we put
I
that in
came
the
here
budget?
in 1950.
50.
We need to.
And they haven't worked since you've been here?
I don't recall them working, they've been out so long.
I'm sorry, yeah, they
But
don't
I'm sure
work.
we have some electricians
Yeah.
around here that could bring a, what is that, used to be a Radio Shack or something and get a mic.
You're probably right, yeah, you're probably right. We'll try to talk louder.
And you don't use your schoolyard voices.
We'll try to talk loud.
No,
Sorry.
you talk like you're in church trying to interrupt the minister or something. You know, they're whispering and half the things. I don't even vote on something. And then when you end up that sounds important, you get interested. We're gonna take it in closed session. There. That's
Okay.
too much of that.
I'm sorry.
Just my idea.
All right, I'm
As
sorry.
bad as I hurt and as bad as it hurts me to walk these days, I don't need to waste my time to come up here and know no more when I get home than I did when I left.
We will make preparations for people that are hard here. We will do that.
I've been on that corner with Newton and Woodland Lane forever. And when, Murphy, he was I think that was his name.
Jim Murphy,
Yeah, he was the,
mayor.
yeah, when I first came. And after he left.
You need help?
It's just gotten, and then when we got Pat and Rodney, I mean, my heart just sang praises because we had somebody who looked like they were interested in the community.
Is that your walker?
Yes.
Do you need help getting it?
No.
Okay.
Good.
You
I
sure?
managed to make that many steps.
Okay. I just
Not
want to make
too many
sure.
more.
Okay.
Oh, Mr.
Oh, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Any questions?
You're a good councilman, he helped me in, so
Thank you very much.
I didn't break a leg.
Thanks for coming.
Nope. No questions on number 2?
No, I can get it over.
Council Bill number 25-03, an ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, enacting Chapter 395 of the Normandy Code of Ordinances establishing emergency snow routes. So this is our snow route in response to the first snow event for us to put into the ordinances.
What would the routes be?
It was well, it's in this one, isn't it? And it was also on page, on another one. I wanted to, the list, I would like to get some information from Will though. When you go into Normandy Place, people park on both sides of the street, and I've seen Dennis do this before. He has had to get out of his car or get out of the truck to like direct the plow in. And I just don't think when it's like a snow event, because I think everybody, I think everybody on my street has a driveway.
Yeah, I think so.
And
there may be one or two places that don't.
I think everybody has a driveway, but people on both sides of the street, when it's a snow event, is kind of, so I would like to add Normandy Place like to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would like to say, so we didn't really get to introduce this ordinance at the last meeting. And so I'd be happy to kind of just go over each part of it. I know we're going long tonight, but this is just supposed to be a start to the conversation. And just, I'll start off by saying, you know, one, it feels like spring out, but you know, snow is still possible the rest of the year. But this would not be implemented at all until the next season. We would need to order signs. We want to take our time, make sure we educate the public and do it right. I know the chief was saying during the big storm in January, St. Anne had snow routes and they called for a tow of 40 cars. Hopefully we don't have to do that, right? If we educate people and do enforce it reasonably, then hopefully people just don't park in the snow routes.
Because I think the other problem is too, if there is a snow event, getting an ambulance down there, or
right.
That's, I mean, it's hard enough. My son has been in one a couple of times, and it's tight when it ain't no snow, you know, and everything. And I'm like, please be careful. But I can't imagine like them maneuvering that when there is.
Right.
There is snow.
So this works where if there's 4 inches of snow or a 1/4 inch of ice forecasted, we would declare snow emergency, which would mean that we would, you know, make social media posts, send out an email blast, do what we can to notify residents that a snow emergency has been activated. And that would tell people you cannot park in the snow. It's a tow-away zone now, right? And 4 inches of snow is greater than our trigger amount, so it's not going to be every time we're out plowing. This is just for the more significant snow and ice. We will have signs posted on the routes, you know, letting people know. And then basically how it works is if there's a sign and there's a snow emergency, it is a tow-away zone. So not only can you be cited, but your car can be towed immediately.
How would they know if it's in that, if you enact that? How would you know, how would a resident know?
So there would be a sign that goes on the street that says this is a snow route.
Yeah, but if it's only 2 inches, you're not.
Oh, how do they know? He's saying, how do you know?
So you're gonna notify the people?
Yeah, we would put out email blasts,
Okay.
social media posts, a snow emergency has been declared.
I gotcha.
We may even, depending on how far it's forecasted, we may even consider like putting stuff on people's windshield, like you're in a snow zone, there's a snow emergency.
I know they did that in St. Anne when they drove around. The police put flyers on cars.
Yeah.
They knocked on doors to tell people.
And that's something that doesn't necessarily need to be in the ordinance, but we just need to prepare to do as far as, I mean, it says that we declare a snow emergency, but.
I would like to see, this is what I would like to see though. I would like to see that in the ordinance, like some kind of, or I don't know, like some kind of plan, like how we're gonna contact people. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you put it in
That's why I
the,
asked. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
if you put it in the ordinance
is
and
that
then,
gonna be
and then you end up towing someone, then I feel like.
So should we
you
just
put like
have,
criteria
so
about
should we
like
just
social
have a
media
plan
posts.
in the office? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think an internal.
An office plan?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And then, this is really where we would like the most council input, is the actual routes. So most of these routes listed, I try to be, and I worked with Dennis, he had a bit of a bigger list. I tried to be a little bit more conservative with it. And we listed the streets that we consider priority 1 streets when we're plowing, because they receive a bunch of traffic or because they have steep hills. There's and that's most of the streets that you see here. And this basically would make a tollway zone on one side or the other of the street. We tried to assign the tollway zone side to the side that has the most driveways. So like, for instance, Waco, all the sides on the east side of the street have short driveways. On the west side of the street, they have long driveways. So we put the tollway side on the west side of the street. But yeah, this is certainly not every street in Normandy, and it is only, for the most part, with the exception of Stanwood, Bellwood, and Bishop J.A. Johnson, and Henderson. Those are all both sides of the street. Everyone else is one side of the street or the other.
Well, yeah, there's no parking on Henderson anyway.
Right, but this makes it a tollway, yeah.
Right.
Can we also add Wallingford? Because Wallingford, they only have, it's in front of Glen Echo, and one side is the fence, but everybody has a driveway.
So you would make the fence side a tollway zone, or?
Well, it would be the driveway side, because they're supposed to park in the driveway, right? Or the whole thing.
I mean,
I don't think they can't park in front of that, they can't park in front of that fence. That's not that's a no parking zone.
yeah, but it's not a tollway.
But if we have a snow route, I just think it should be just both sides of the street. Should be
on all of these streets?
No, on
Wallingford.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think in my cul-de-sac, and when it snows, if cars parked on both sides of the street, it's kind of hard to get through. I think we need to, not just the snow route, I think just period, just have one side of the street parking. Because the way people park now, it's kind of hard to get through there, especially with an emergency vehicle or ambulance or something to come through.
Okay. And I mean, that's something that we could bring up in another ordinance, but did you want to add like far away to the snow route list?
Yes.
Both sides?
Both sides.
Both sides.
Yeah. We have a lot of people in the community who park on the streets, so it's tough because it's not going to be very popular to those people. But sometimes it's just absolutely necessary, especially when you're talking about snow.
Steph, can I ask a question though? But they have a driveway like we have, so on my street, so I guess the snow route is on my side of the street. But then when people park across the street, everyone has a driveway. Should they just park in their driveway? Can we just enforce the driveway, or we cannot enforce parking in your driveway?
Well, I mean, this in effect will to some extent. And again, if you guys want to make it both sides of the street, you can.
You want to put the both sides of the street in for your street?
But
some people that have too many
the
cars.
idea is, if they're only parked on one side of the street, the plow should be able to get through.
Right. Yeah. Like on my street, you've been on my street. When you park on both sides of the, well, part of the street is a no parking zone. Like, because you can't turn in and go right if somebody's like parked, it's really tight. So when people park on both sides of the street, and even like if I'm just leaving, people do that, it's just really tight. And that silver truck, that's the big truck, right? The silver
No, the white
one. It was, he had to like direct, I saw him get out and he had to like kind of like direct Will like where to go because he didn't want anything, he didn't want anything to get hit. I was like, that's tight. And then it happened again, I was like, that's super tight.
I will say, with the second snow event and having the silver truck working the entire event, it is a foot shorter plow.
Yeah.
And so that did help on some of those tighter streets. But, I mean, once you get enough snow on the ground, it's gonna be tough no matter what.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of the vehicles.
So you're still recommending just do one side?
Right, because, yeah, the goal isn't necessarily to get people not to park on the street at all, even though it's kind of nice, but it's just to make sure the plow and ambulance.
The plow and everything.
Okay.
One of the issues that I saw, particularly on St. Andrews, but it may have happened in other areas as well, those people who left their trash cans out, and the snow plows had to go around them, it was a mess. So I guess one of the things that we also, I mean, if I know something's coming, like a snowstorm is coming, I know that I can ride around at least most of the Fourth Ward and look for trash cans that are out, take pictures and send emails so that we can get people to pull them in. Because as on St. Andrews, the same people are still putting their stuff out there and they're still up. So we need to make sure that the plows are not hindered by other junk that people have out there. Yeah.
Or certain plows are smaller than others though, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying,
Yeah.
with the silver trout's a foot
Right.
shorter.
Yeah. So Sam, is Waste Management in Grand Apple now?
Yeah,
Okay, how long have you been there?
well, since December, when you guys voted in
Oh,
June.
Republic, okay, that's when, Republic left, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Any other questions about, which one? Number 3. 4, an ordinance of the City of Normandy amending Chapter 145, enhancing a new Article 3, directing the selection of depositories.
Yeah, and this one was another Andy recommended state statute change, and so is 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah.
And I would say, I mean, if anyone has any questions about any of those, we could probably just ask them all together.
Can you just give an overview of why these are, because it was a Missouri.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the legislature said that we had, or changed their laws, and it made our code out of date. And so the way Andy wrote all of these is that even if they change them in the future, we stay up to date with state legislature. There's stuff like definitions of a video service provider, what's a closed record and what's an open record. Then you have your business license, a state statute regarding business license and shutdown orders and prorating fees, and then you just have the process for selecting a new bank, which is regulated in state statute.
And the changes that the legislature made to those statutes, they apply regardless of whether these ordinances are adopted, right? This is just to make sure that our code, is clearly in compliance, and that someone's not going to look at our code and get the wrong idea because it's outdated or is missing something. Right?
And video services, what is that?
So that is, the video service regulation ordeal is a never-ending saga. It's, but it's things like streaming providers and things like that. So it includes
What it comes down to,
DirecTV and Charter and things like that.
we tax cable, but, and Missouri municipalities would like to tax like Netflix and stuff, but there's a big legal fight because they have a bunch of lawyers and they say, we shouldn't be taxed, and that's basically.
It all goes back to when cable TV was, when cables were being laid for cable TV. And so cities would charge, basically they would say to the cable companies, oh, if you want to put your lines in the right of way, you have to pay us rent, basically, for the ground that you're using. And so there have been lots of fights about, as streaming has become a thing, and of course, I can watch Hulu on my phone. Well, I'm not using any, wires that are going through the city right of way. And so.
Except for the internet wires.
Well, but unless I'm, on satellite data, right? But yeah, so it's, the lobbyists for, the various companies that you can just stream directly without using the wires, they've got a lot of sway in the legislature, and they've been monkeying with the definitions of what can be taxed and what can be essentially forced to pay for use of the right of way. So there is a lawsuit that I think U-City started, or was it Winchester? It was Winchester started it. This is a 20-year-old lawsuit talking about these issues, and it actually got mostly resolved last year, and so a lot of cities are actually going to receive a lot of payment from these companies because the court said, yes, companies like Netflix and DirecTV satellite, they do qualify as video service regulators, so they're going to have to pay a bunch of back taxes. But what the legislature then did is went and said, okay, well, we're just going to change the definition. So the cities won the battle, but they lost the war, essentially. is a good way to think about it. So this just adopts those definitions that have been codified by the legislature so that we all know what's going on going forward. Sorry, that was a lot of background, but it's you know, it's something that municipal attorneys get pretty charged about.
Any other questions on 4, 5, 6, or 7?
No.
Number 8, Council Bill number 25-08, an ordinance of the City of Normandy amending chapters 223 and 385 of the City Code of Ordinances regarding the definition of abandoned property and the removal of abandoned property and abandoned vehicles from the public right-of-way. So this is what Officer Lawson was?
Larson and I have worked on this for quite a while. I mean, this is a project that actually goes back a few years, I think. Sam, I don't need to speak on it, I mean, I can. Basically, this will, it tightens up a couple loose ends between our abandoned property ordinances, but the main thing that this will allow the police department to do is when there is a vehicle, a derelict vehicle that has been abandoned in the roadway for 5 days, it will be able to be towed. And we're going to be implementing a sticker system. So once a car has been abandoned, they get a sticker notifying, and I said 5, but it's actually 7, I misspoke, that a derelict vehicle will get a sticker on it saying you have 7 days to move this vehicle before we tow it. And I mean, you know, this is one of the main, I think, things that we hear about from citizens and from, I think you all have noticed it in your own wards. Derelict vehicles just sitting around in the road, and they clearly don't run, right? And they've just been abandoned there. And this is an opportunity to clean a lot of that up. Yeah.
Can I ask a question, because I know in Ward 1, they would take those stickers off.
Yeah, we also, so that doesn't matter, right?
Okay.
So we'll put the sticker on. We also are gonna mail a notice to the record owner of the car, and then the officer will take a photo of the sticker as well.
Now, what about abandoned derelict vehicles in driveways?
So we already can remove derelict vehicles from driveways, but that requires basically a nuisance hearing. We have to give notice and have a hearing before the building commissioner, and then we have to give them an opportunity to abate if the commissioner declares that their vehicle is a nuisance, and then we actually have to tow it and send them a tax bill, maybe even file a lien. It's a complicated process to remove. It's not that complicated, but there is a process to remove derelict vehicles from private property, but it already exists. And I think we're making some progress on some of those as well. I don't want to talk about it in open session, but some things that I've been working on for the city, we're making some progress there as well.
So who recognized those cars? Is it someone like the neighbors say, hey, this car been sitting here for a long time? Was this something that the code enforcers say, hey, I've seen this
Just
car?
like any other code violation issue, it can be.
Well, it will be the police enforcing it,
Well,
but
sure.
that anyone can,
Anybody can
forward
call.
that information on.
Yeah.
It could be us, it could be them,
Okay.
anyone could.
Because sometimes I seen cars like on my street and it's like no license plate. I saw one, like no license plates. And it was there for like a day. And I was like, that's not anybody's car. Like, you know, it's not somebody's car. So, but they actually parked in the tollway zone, so they got towed immediately.
And we've had some abandoned, stolen vehicles, that kind of stuff.
All right, let's go.
Council Bill new business. Resolution number 25-12, a resolution of the City of Normandy authorizing city administrator to accept proposal for a facility condition assessment. So, we went through the process for this, me, Sam, and Dennis.
Basically, what we would like to do to help with our capital improvement plan and get a better grasp on how much, something we've talked a lot about tonight, but the deferred maintenance, but rather just for our facilities. We would like to get an engineer in here just to do an inventory of our roof, our HVAC, our basic stuff. Give us cost estimates so we could properly budget for it and help us prioritize what needs to be done first.
Tuck pointing.
That too,
Yeah.
yes.
They have a timeline if you look on page, if you look at the project outreach, and then like the scope and everything, that's included in the $9,000, and this does include the Sinclair station
Okay.
also.
And Normandy Public
And
Works.
and Public Works and here. So, cause that's been sitting there a long time. There's been talk about like, we should change it into a Sinclair, we should change it into a substation, we should do this. Like, at least they will tell us what we can and cannot do, you know, and everything, like, oh, what needs to be fixed to get it to that point, so.
I've been sitting there for years like that.
Yeah. People are sick of seeing.
Because we have no place to
And
records.
the properties that we're talking about here are all the city-owned properties?
Just this building,
This building?
Sinclair, and the Public Works garage.
Okay, gotcha.
I was really happy with our selection process with this. We did an RFQ, we got 4 great responses. We had 2 finalists, both submitted us. This is just a way more affordable option than the other people, so.
Nice, that was, yeah, that was nice diverse staff. Which one am I doing? 2.
Oh,
Oh,
hold
no,
on.
3, sorry, water main.
No, well,
We said.
you said, I would like a vote on this tonight.
Oh, that
If
one?
you guys are comfortable
Oh, okay.
with that.
The, facilities assessment.
The resolution.
Yeah.
Resolution.
That way we can go ahead and get it scheduled and go.
Do you, can I get a,
Motion to approve.
can I get a motion to approve resolution number 25-12?
So moved.
Second.
Is that Tony?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Now, Waterman?
Yeah, and actually, it should be the last page, second last page in your packet.
So this one is really exciting because we just found out some good stuff about some money we can save.
So this was an emergency added to the agenda. So we approved at the last meeting, or I think it was the January meeting, which streets we were going to resurface this year. And before we did that, we sent an email to Missouri American Water. We said, what streets do you plan to do in Normandy upcoming? We would like to collaborate with you. They said, we're not doing anything in Normandy next year. Then about a week ago, they came to the window and applied for an excavation permit to pull up the water main on Dartmoor, Blandford, and Sanborn. And it was literally the person I emailed.
But it gets better.
But it is good news because they did it in time. And basically, we weren't gonna do those streets, but we're gonna do Parkchester and Atherstone right next to it, right? So I told them, and we were gonna do Holborn. And they said, well, we're not gonna do Holborn, but we do have later on, like next year, we were gonna do Atherstone and Parkchester. We'll do that this year. And what I would like to do is hold off on Holborn and do Dartmoor, Sanborn, and Blandford this year. And basically, they will pay us what they would have paid to resurface the trench, which is $42,000. So the only issue is Holborn is shorter, it's less project than the 3 that we're gonna add. So we need to put in, it's about $80,000. The worst that we can put in $40,000, we need to put in about $40,000 as well.
North St. Louis is what you need to know before you go. Good morning, Chris.
So we need to put a little bit more money in, but they will match it, and we'll get way more streets done this year than we thought. Now, where is our $40,000 going to come from? So Chief Sanders actually was kind enough, and she connected with some people at Community Impact Network and Equity Homes. And we had a meeting with them earlier this week on Monday, and the 4 demolitions that we had planned, which we were going to use Glen Echo Park money and CDBG money, they are offering to tear those 4 buildings down for us for $4.
How much?
$1 each.
$4.
$1 each.
In Glen Echo?
Yes.
Oh.
You did say $4.
Yeah, 4 houses, $4.
And then we get to keep our, CDBG money, so we can use it.
Yeah, so, so there's a few more things we need to do, but we can come up with that $40,000 to, we can move our CDBG money. That way we can match Missouri American Water here. What this resolution does is we need to, kind of on a dime here, switch the design work that we were gonna do for the specifications. We need to remove Holborn and put Dartmoor, Paddington, and, no, sorry, not Paddington, Dartmoor, Blandford, Sanborn on. So that's what this resolution does. It authorizes me to sign this with Weiss Design Group so they can get that done. They're gonna start the water main trenching on those 3 streets next week. Yeah, Monday. They'll put in a temporary cold patch, and then we'll come back later this summer and resurface and get reimbursement from them. And then later this summer, they should be doing Parkchester and Addersville.
Yeah, the money that we had set aside from the Glen Echo money always been saved for streets. So if we don't have to pay for the tearing down of those, and we cut our road repairs back significantly, can we now put that money back into the roads over there?
We can, yeah. We can look at, spot repairs, or we can look at extending the St. Andrews.
Yeah, I think St. Andrews is the worst. There are some areas around Henderson where and the rest of it could be spot repairs, but if we can do more of St. Andrews, it make a whole lot more people happy, because it's kind of nasty from about 7,200 to, I'd say, 72, 52, where it turns. It's bad.
Okay.
So, and then on Henderson, around the curve there's some patching that needs to be done, so. Oh, and the snowplow knocked down a curve too.
Did they send it to?
I don't know if she.
Is it our curve?
Huh?
Our-
No, it's her.
Did she send the picture?
I'm not sure.
I got one thing from Glen Echo, but it was turf.
Yeah. No, you might be getting some more. But, yeah, I'll reach out to her, because there is that property owner put that up there because the house is lower than street level, and all the water comes down, and it was a way of keeping water off of her grass, so I'll reach out to her and see but it might be done at the same time, we could save some money.
Okay.
So this, what do you got? What was I gonna say? So if we use the 40,000 for,
If you want to
will
do
it
that,
change?
go ahead and make a motion to amend the agreement to include
Glen Echo?
$40,000 more dollars for St. Andrews.
But where would the money?
Well, it'll come out of general fund, but the part of general fund we have set aside for Glen Echo.
Right.
Okay.
So move.
So, I'm the chair, yeah, just wait on me, please. So, I know, we still got closed session to do, so you're gonna be here a while. So it would be 40,000 from the CBDG, and then 40,000 from the Glen Echo money?
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
And we will still need to do a series of resolution and probably a public hearing to move the CDBG money around. But at this point, if we're gonna get this done this summer, we need to get this design proposal going.
So, can I get a motion to include Glen Echo, and do I just into the?
$40,000 more dollars for St. Andrews.
Just for $40,000 more for St. Andrews into resolution 25-13.
So moved.
Second. See, now you missed it. You were supposed to. All in favor? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, ayes have it.
Aye.
The 24th, this is just the nature of the beast of being a teacher. I have parent-teacher conferences on March
27th.
27th, yeah, from 3:30 to 7:30.
Can I say something real quick too? I make a motion that we move our council meeting for April the 8th.
Oh, let me do this one first, because that was on the list.
Okay, good.
So we can either this for March. We can either, move it to another day that week, like Tuesday or Wednesday. We can have somebody else chair the meeting, or, we can cancel it.
Oh, sorry, we need a motion to approve 2513 as amended.
Oh, can I get a motion to approve 2513 as amended?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. There you go. So which one you guys wanna do?
That time.
To do what?
So we can either cancel it.
The workshop?
Yeah. We can move it,
That's
cause I have to work, or we could,
We can cancel.
Let's just cancel.
okay. Okay, so then what do you guys wanna do about election day?
We can do the 15th.
Go to 15.
You wanna go to the 15th?
Sounds good.
You wanna go to the 15th or election day, or move it back?
No, 15.
No, let's do the 15th.
15th is fine.
Tony and, Shivers, did you guys hear what we said about March?
I would like April 15th. That would be great.
Yeah, did you hear what we said about March too?
I did. I heard you.
Okay.
April 15th is not okay with me. That's my birthday. I can't be bothered.
Oh, Aries. Oh my goodness. I'm March
Bothered with
29th.
you guys on my birthday now. No, I don't work. I just be by myself.
It's my birthday and we have a council meeting.
Okay then.
Okay, then what's your,
I'll bring you a cake, Tony.
When is
Say
yours?
what?
Okay, it was something about him.
is March 11th.
Who's is March 11th?
Councilwoman Valle, Vicky.
Oh, okay. She's a Pisces though.
That's right. Every day. Right on Saturday.
You know the Aries, they run the astrology.
Huh?
Yeah, we're the leaders. The ram.
Yeah, the ring.
Well, yeah, that's great.
Yes, okay, so, Mayor,
Look at people.
so I know that we're just having discussion right now, so from my understanding, you're wanting to cancel the March 2025 workshop meeting? Is that
27th.
correct?
27th.
Well, no,
Oh, wait.
2025 year, sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah, March 27th.
And moving the April 8th council meeting, regular council meeting to April 15th?
Yeah.
Okay, we need motions for both of those.
Okay.
Oh.
Also,
So
there's
move.
a P and Z meeting.
So move, so
Oh,
move.
there is, yeah,
planning
planning
and
and zoning meeting.
Wait,
on
no,
the
we
15th.
can't do the 15th because planning and zoning is on the 15th. And we can't do the first, we could do the first week of April.
We could.
Or the third
We
week
could
of
limit
April.
P&Z to 1 hour.
Yeah, we could
Wanna limit-
we could do P and Z at 5:30 and then council at 6:30.
There you
Wanna do
go.
that?
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that.
And you
bet-
only
you-
charge
look,
us one
You
meeting.
better be sure.
He's like, I don't know about that
Keep mine.
Okay,
It'll
so
be a blended.
we'll do, so planning and zoning,
though. Agreeable.
wait, so the first motion, planning and zoning will be till 6, and then we'll do the council meeting at 6:30 on the 15th. Okay, can I get a motion to cancel,
Postpone.
Or suspend.
suspend, March 27th council workshop at 5:30?
I'll make a motion.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Can I get a motion to move?
So move.
I didn't even say it yet. To move the regular council workshop to 6:30 on April 15th.
Make a motion.
That's a meeting.
Council meeting.
Oh, council meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
Council meeting is 6:30 on the 15th. Okay.
Yes. Can we add something to that? We gotta bring champagne for the mayor who's in office, right?
What?
What?
No.
I don't know. We just voting.
We just voting? Okay,
You want to do it at 6:30 on the 15th? That's what we're voting on. All in favor?
okay,
Alright, any opposed? Alright, 6:30.
What about
okay. 6, oh, that's gonna be a late meeting.
Who's the second of that motion?
I think it was Councilwoman Valle.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I just.
Mr. Nelson, where you at?
Where you going? We got closed session.
I'm old, I gotta use the restroom.
You got to stay.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Oh,
Well, we-
Oh, I gotta go into closed session, right? Can I get a motion to go into
Make a
closed
motion.
session for a person?
Motion.
I make a motion, second.
Roll call vote.
Councilman Sachsen-Hammer.
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland.
Yes.
Councilman Washington.
Yes.
Councilman Evans.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sugars.
Yes.
Councilman Nelson.
Of course.
Okay, Councilman Ray.
Yes.
And Councilwoman Campbell.
Yes.
Alright.
Bring me back a hamburger.